Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We hope you're keeping very, very safe and well. Thank you so much for joining us for instant reaction to Tottenham Hotspur absolutely thumping Arsenal in the North London derby. McQueen is on his way. Don't panic at all. We've got some absolutely top guests bringing you top reaction to a top night for Tottenham Hotspur in North London, which of course is firmly white. What a night. I've just rushed back from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We've got the brilliant Matty Hayes, Darren Hartman, the man, Mr. McQueen, coming to you live from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium right now as well. Delighted to have Lee McQueen with us as well. God, what a night we've just witnessed at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. If you're listening to the show for the first time, you can find us on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on Audio Boom, we're across different audio platforms. We're, of course, on Twitter at Last Word on Spurs. We're on Facebook and Instagram too. And I have to go first across to my co-host, Lee McQueen, who is live from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Still there. Lee, calm down yet? Can you hear us? Can you unmute yourself? Can you see us? We're going to try. Oh, he is coming. Lee, can you hear us?
I'm not calm. I cannot talk. I'm not calm. And I'm on the high road. I am actually on the high road, mate. Yeah,
Lee
I can
McQueen
hear you, mate. I can hear you.
Is on the high road. I tell you what, the high road to heaven. What a night for Tottenham Hotspur. What a night we've got in store for you. What a show we've got in store for you. Oh, what a result. I must, just a quick shout out to Beavertown. We was in there beforehand. Absolutely rocking. They are Last Word on Spurs as official sponsors now for the rest of the season, hopefully beyond. Brilliant time in Beavertown. Of course, we've got that home win away feature that's going on across throughout the season as well. Great place for pre-drinks. So Beavertown, listen, a massive, massive shout out to you. And we've got to bring in our two wonderful returning guests to the Last Word on Spurs. First up, listen, he needs no introduction. You must know him fairly well right now. You must be following his YouTube channel. We've got the wonderful Matty Hayes from, of course, his brilliant YouTube channel. Matty, how are you?
Oh, I'm absolutely sensational. I have to say, I was just saying there before stream, the fact that I'm sitting here and thinking that could have been 4, 5 or 6 is absolutely crazy. And I'll tell you what, the 3 best performances of tonight, Harry Kane, I thought Ryan Sessegnon was fantastic, but performance of the night, Ricky getting back after being at that game to start a stream at 10:15 is absolutely insane. Hats off to you, my friend. This is going to be a fantastic show.
It is. What a show we've got in store. We must, of course, come across to, listen, a man that whenever he's been on here, exudes the positivity. Tells us to always keep calm, believe, never in doubt. We've got the wonderful Darren Hartman. I'm sure he's going to give us some rousing speeches. Darren, what a night. What a night. Please tell us how you're feeling.
Listen, I'm buzzing. And remember, Rick, I told you this afternoon, I got you. I felt it in my waters. I was ready. Come on, you Spurs. Listen, I'm buzzing. Let's have it. Honestly,
what a night we've got in store. What a night we've got in store. We're going to check in with Lee, who, like I say, is, I can tell you for certain, I was with him earlier, he definitely was not on the laser.
I'm on the high road.
Lee, how are you, mate? Are you okay?
I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I'm good, lads, listeners, viewers. I mean, the amount of people that have come up to me tonight and said, loving your work, loving Last Word on Spurs, it's absolutely amazing. Shout out to all of you guys, absolutely amazing. Beavertown, you are sponsors. Let me in. Yeah, let me in. I'll be honest with you. You need to start letting me in after the game. I'm doing a pod. You didn't even let me in. So I'm now in the car park. Absolutely amazing. I echo what Matty and Darren said. Absolutely amazing atmosphere. It's the best atmosphere I've ever been in the new stadium. Absolutely incredible. That South Stand where I sit was immense. Yeah. Massive hats off to all the fans tonight. Made a huge difference. And we were outstanding. Like Matty said, could have been 4, 5 or 6. I mean, they got Gabriel suspended now for Newcastle. Injured. Rob Holding's now suspended for Newcastle. Mate, they are worried. Don't you worry about that. It is absolutely a thing of beauty tonight. And right next to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it's just literally behind me. Absolutely loving it. So I am sorry that I'm on the road. I'm sorry that I'm not in a nice world, viewers and listeners. But it's authentic, and I'm here, and I'm loving it. Come on, you Spurs.
And we're loving it as well, mate. We're loving it too. Thank you so much. Already 500, 600 of you plus joining us very early on in the Last Word on Spurs. Settle down. Enjoy the ride, because what a show we've got in store for you. You know what, Matty, let's kick off the show with you, because to be fair, we're talking on the back of Spurs really, I would say, reaffirming there's still a race here for a top 4 finish. And a night which Spurs do firmly keep their Champions League hopes alive. Arguably, I would say, as well as Lee there, the best night at our new stadium. It doesn't feel as new as what it did, but my God, it felt special tonight. It feels like a massive night. Of course, it's still in Arsenal's hands, but my God, what a start, Matt, to hopefully what looks like to be Spurs back on the right road now to hopefully clinching this top four very, very late on.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I probably I'm not alone when I say that after losing to Brighton and drawing with Brentford, seeing that our next 3 games were Leicester, Liverpool and Arsenal, I think we all felt it could have been over by now. And look, it absolutely could have been if Arsenal got the 3 points tonight, but they were absolutely nowhere near it. And yes, we were helped with a penalty and a red card to Rob Holding, but absolutely every single person in that stadium with the Spurs jersey on, I'm talking on the pitch and off the pitch, absolutely carried that team over the line to what is a huge 3 points. And we're obviously still behind Arsenal. It's still in their hands, but this is a massive momentum swing, and there's been so many swings throughout this season. It's kind of hard to tell which is going to be the last one. And when we had those 5-6 wins in a row, I said that this momentum had either come at the perfect time to get us top 4, or it had come just a little bit too early and it was going to fade away towards the end of the season. It did fade away, but I think with that point at Anfield on Saturday and this massive 3 points tonight, it has immediately swung back in our favour. And Arsenal have to go in 4 days' time to a very, very similar atmosphere. They're going to Newcastle to St. James's Park, where the atmosphere is going to be exactly the same. Those Newcastle fans are in party mode. They've survived. They're back in the Premier League. Their last home game of the season. That place is going to be absolutely bouncing. And Arsenal, with that depleted backline, having to react to this game. We all know Mikel Arteta said different things in that dressing room to what he said in front of Jeff Shreves tonight. It's a massive, massive moment for Tottenham. And again, still in Arsenal's hands, but we're in a much better position than we were 7 days ago for sure.
Yeah, agree. Honestly, I can't stop smiling as the rest of us here. As Lee McQueen, I think he's in a bush somewhere. We're going to catch up with Lee in just in a second, but to bring it over to you, Darren. Listen, it's one of those nights where, listen, who cares where we are? We're going to make it happen. Who cares where you are around the world watching? Thank you so much for your support. Darren, Conte at full time, he punched the air with both fists and celebrated a massive, massive win for Spurs. And what began, as I would say, a really tense atmosphere, that real desire, belief that we saw from Spurs. In the end, it ended up being a real comfortable victory. It's not often in a Spurs-Arsenal North London derby you can actually be quite calm. But it was towards the end. What did you make of the performance, Darren?
You know what? You're exactly right, Rick. We started off that game as every fan felt we were tense. We were nervous. We knew what the stakes were like. We knew how important this game was. And you could see it in the players. Like, you guys were in the stadium. And I know that first 8 or 9 minutes, we were on the boys' back. Like, come on, move the ball forward. The passing around at the back, it wasn't going at any speed. There wasn't any urgency. Everyone looked nervous. And then the game started to go. We started to click. Son was being literally manhandled by Holding. Holding was just holding, and it wasn't working. And then I know Arsenal fans are going to go, oh, if we had 11 men, it would have been a different story. It wouldn't have been a different story. Don't lie to yourselves. Just don't lie to yourselves. Don't do it. Don't wake up tomorrow and think that Holding staying on the pitch will make this any different kind of game. Don't lie to yourself. Spurs have got an energy right now, and there's a momentum and there's a belief. If you saw when Son came off, that attitude is what I want to see. The way we committed to the whole plan, 90 minutes of solid Spurs, I'm so impressed. I'm so happy. Gentlemen, we have got a moment happening right now. There is a moment happening at Spurs. And if we keep this up, there's only 2 games. Let's worry about what we've got to do. Let's win our 2. Win our 2, and I'm telling you, we're in the top 4. I've not denied us top 4 all season. If you watch any podcast I've been on, I've said we're getting top 4. I ain't changing. Come on. That's a bit.
I tell you, the atmosphere. Lee, I'm assuming. Are we waiting a Rolls Royce to pull up for you? What's the situation with you at the moment? Are we just we waiting the night out?
The exec driver will be here soon, but we've got time. Don't worry about that. Look, I want to say, man, I was in. I sit in the South Stand, right?
Yeah.
48, 252, and I'm loving these comments. Right, I can't see the live comments. Some of them you're putting up. Someone just said that Martin Tyler said that it was the best atmosphere they've ever heard. Him and Gary Neville. I have to echo that. It was
amazing.
Absolutely outstanding. And if there was ever a 12th person that was needed, like 12th man, 12th woman, all the people, it was us tonight, like 100%. Like I had no doubt, like Darren, I had no doubt we'd win tonight. I had no doubt. Like before we was in the Beaver Town, weren't we? Before the game, the atmosphere was buzzing. It felt like the semi-final against Ajax in Amsterdam. It felt like that. It felt there was something tonight, and it just goes to show you. Like, I just want to quickly say, right, there's so many people that watch us and listen to us, right, and I love it. I so love it. you know, like you're coming up to us and you're saying hello and whatever. Thank you for tonight, because you all made a massive difference. I mean, it was comfortable tonight. It was comfortable. And Darren, like you said, it wouldn't matter if I had 12 men on the pitch. We were just superior to them. And that is a massive, massive result tonight. They've got to go to Newcastle and get something. And I'd do a Kevin Keegan here. And I'd love it. And I'd love it if we get something. Come on, you Spurs. We're getting top 4. Don't you worry about that.
Lee, just to stick with you, you know, like, to close that gap now to a single point, and like you said, it was such a dominant victory from Tottenham. The performance itself, it was a real clear-minded Conte performance where every single player seemed to know their jobs, know what their task was, know what they were doing. That's on top of the fact we lost Christian Romero, who, let's be honest about it, on Twitter, coming into the stadium, the meltdown at the fact, you know, we were going to have Sanchez coming in for Romero, who I must come on, we will come on to Sanchez. He was remarkable tonight. I thought he was superb, bearing in mind that he hasn't been playing regular football. To come into that kind of game, that rhythm, in an environment like that, I thought it was absolutely superb. But overall, the performance, you've mentioned the fans, the performance from Tottenham, how impressed was you with the way we handled that occasion?
I was mega impressed with us versus Liverpool, and then we carried it on. I mean, I think we just left Beavertown corner pin when we were together just before the game, and then the Romero news broke, and all of us were like, "What the actual like? Oh my gosh, you know, he's gone. He is one of our best players, etc." But like you say, we're coming to Sanchez, but Sanchez was immense. I think everyone to a man tonight. I have to say, I know we'll go around the players, but I thought Pierre-Emile Højbjerg tonight.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. Warrior tonight. Warrior.
Phenomenal. He just got it. He just knew. I know Jason, one of our own. We love Jason. I have to give a shout out to Jason. He had a ticket tonight, and a couple of guys that came over from Thailand that had spent $2,500 on a ticket, and Jason gave his ticket away to give to them because they got scammed. That is just literally unbelievable for Jason McGovern, like top guy. And he does love a Danny Rose. He just gets it. But Højbjerg did tonight. He just got it. He just epitomised. I think he set the tone. I think sometimes players can either go in their shell or come out of their shell and set the tone. I think Pierre-Emile Højbjerg set the tone tonight. I think to a man. And actually, Darren, you mentioned about first 8-9 minutes or so. I weren't nervous. I weren't nervous at all. I wasn't nervous at all. I don't think they had. I might be wrong here, lads. So you have to correct me if I'm wrong, viewers, listeners. But I don't think they had a meaningful chance on goal. I don't remember one. I don't remember thinking, "Oh, great save" or whatever. I just don't remember.
We wasn't at any point facing any real barrage from Arsenal at all.
Exactly.
And that was down, I think, to the atmosphere of the stadium, like you can say there, Lee, right?
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And also as well, like momentum. Anyone knows anything about football or top level sport, it's always the fine margins. We talk about it all the time, but momentum is massive.
Yeah.
And we have just stopped their 4-win running streak. And I can't. Burnley is massive for us now. Of course it is. We go down, come back to the lane, couple of days time, smash Burnley. We're above them, and they've got to go and get Newcastle, get something from Newcastle. I can't see him doing it. I think Newcastle will do the business. I spoke to my man Ian Kitchen earlier, who's a Toon season ticket holder, and he's like, they hate Arsenal. They're going to give it everything. Trippé fancies a bit of a free kick. I'm telling you, boys, let's go. Win our 2 games. I think we get top 4. Come on, you Spurs.
Honestly, I totally agree. We'll bring on quickly to Antonio's comments, Lee, because you mentioned about the stadium. And Antonio's been speaking straight after the game. He said, the atmosphere was amazing. We have to say thanks to our fans. They were incredible from start to finish. And I've got to agree that the fans tonight being in that stadium was just absolutely insanity, right? And it is, that environment that we've created there, that stadium, we do need to make it a fortress now. We really, really do. Max on the screen here says, Sessegnon unfazed by Salah and Sake, Jose knew. And to be fair, Conte knows as well now. You've got to say that, he's really kept faith with Sessegnon. It's funny because ahead of the game, coming over to you, Matt.
Great point.
Yeah, ahead of the game, Matt, we saw the 1 enforced change for Spurs. It was a massive blow, to be honest with you, in terms of team who's coming through. Christian Romero having to be replaced by Davinson Sanchez. Conte confirmed that Romero had got a knock on his hip against Liverpool and hadn't recovered in time. He said in the game against Liverpool, he received a hit on the hip. After the game, he had pain. It is not right to recover. That meant Alfie Devine was the man to step up from the bench in terms of obviously being part of that squad. So the team read Lloris, Sanchez, Dyer, Davis, Emerson, Højbjerg, Bentancur, Sessegnon, Kulusevski, Kane and Son, with a bench of Galini, Roden, Craig, Winks, White, Devine, Bergwijn, Lucas, Scarlett. And as I read that bench there, you can really see there's not much depth, there's not much quality to bring off that bench. So again, that kind of tells you the performance from Tottenham was absolutely remarkable. Matty, team who's coming through, how concerned was you the fact Romero was obviously missing from that team?
It was a massive blow, and I'll be honest, the confidence I had in the game very much did start to wane when that news came through. When it's not exactly a criticism on Sanchez, it's just how important Christian Romero has been to us since he was signed, to be honest. And the main thing that I was looking at, even outside of his defensive abilities, was in that game against Liverpool, for example, when Liverpool pressed so high up, that ability for Romero to pick out that pass in between the lines and so often feed that ball into Kulusevski was so important for us getting out from the back and then being able to attack Liverpool, because we got past that midfield with that one quick ball from Romero. And we know Davinson Sanchez doesn't have the ability to do that. And I actually tweeted out about 15 minutes into the game that we lost that outlet at the back because Davinson Sanchez wasn't taking risks in possession, but I preferred it that way because I didn't trust him to take risks in possession. So defensively and offensively, we did lose a lot with Christian Romero being out. And I agree with you, that bench, there's not a lot of depth there. We had Bergwijn and Lucas to come on. Our only real midfield option there was Harry Winks. I know we have the likes of Craig and Devine, but you wouldn't want to bring them on in a situation like what we were expecting would be a very close encounter. So we needed the 11 players on that pitch to do the job, and my God, they absolutely did it. And Davinson Sanchez, absolutely massive shout out to Davinson Sanchez and Emerson on that side, who I think we'd all identified as the weak point for us up against Martinelli. Actually, when the team news came out, I was having debates with Arsenal fans about whether Cedric or Emerson and Sanchez was a scarier option to have at the right side of defence, but no, Sanchez proved us all wrong. And even the interview from Conte before the game, he was asked, Jeff Shreve said, is it concerning bringing Sanchez into the team? He hasn't started a game in 4 months. And Sanchez Conte started laughing, and he said it is. But he mentioned the games that he's come off the bench in the last couple of months, and I think that was really, really crucial in keeping him ticking over and keeping that level of match sharpness there, that he was able to step in today. And honestly, it didn't look like there'd been a change at the back for the majority of that game. It was an incredible performance from him. And with Romero potentially being out for the rest of the season, there's a bit more confidence that Sanchez can be a good deputy for him after that performance. But it is still, when you're missing a player like Romero, it is a massive loss, whether you're playing Burnley or Arsenal. Yeah,
totally agree. Darren, let's come over to you. In terms of the start of the game, we saw Nketiah with an early dive. And, we're lucky now, obviously, having VAR. I mean, again, if you're for or against VAR, we've seen decisions in the past that have cost Spurs. Do you have a view on that for you? Should we be cutting this out of the game? It's such a poor thing to see in the height of this derby. Does that just illustrate the pressure both teams, or maybe one team, is under to try and gain an advantage in an unfair way?
I think it's become part of football now. It is part of the game. People are looking for that deception to try and pull the wool over referees' eyes to get the advantage. And I think VAR is going to have to step up, but also referees are going to have to step up and look at what the punishment is for that, because it is a form of cheating. And we're going to have to make players aware that if you do that and VAR goes, hold on, there was no contact, he dived, then what do we do? Is it a booking? Do people start getting suspended for it? I think that's a bigger picture. I just want to go off something that Matt said about when Romero was announced. I had that same feeling of fear that we didn't have Romero and that outball that Romero has. But the highlight for me of Davinson Sanchez was top of the second half, the ball into Harry Kane's feet. That's not a Davinson Sanchez pass, but that shows me the development of the squad. Like we said, our bench looks light, but he's watching Romero, he's training with him, and that was a Romero pass. That was a confident centre-half going, I can play that ball into feet. I know I've got the ability to do that. And I think that excited me that Davinson was able to step up and do that, because we all were worried that he was going to be in the middle there. And I think in the opening, when you look at Martinelli and players like that, you're like, is he going to make a mistake? Because he is one who does have a mistake in him. And today there was none. And I'm very, very happy about that. Very happy about that.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. Now, coming over, we're going to try and head over to Lee, who we know is currently waiting on some form of transport to get back home safe and sound.
Just knock on that door. Go in their front room.
Oh dear, Lee, coming over to you.
I don't know who lives there. I think it might be Martinelli. I might give him a.
Lee, we saw very early on Rob Holding trying to really wind up Son from really the opening 10 minutes, to be honest with you. Gave him a little
Go
kick
for it,
on the
boys.
floor and then held him to the ground. And, Son was going to retaliate, but was really held back from his teammates. Arsenal, do you think, Lee, they started off very early trying to deploy that tactic of trying to wind up the Spurs players? First time ever on Last Word on Spurs throughout the season, Lee McQueen is lost for words. It doesn't happen that often, let me tell you. But this is the beauty of doing it live outside the Tottenham Stadium. And I can promise you, you will get crazy moments like this that will make somehow the best bits. We're going to come back over to Lee shortly. Matty, let's go back over to you. What do you think that for you, Matt? Do you think
think
Spurs...
so. I think also that...
Oh, we're in. We're in. Let's go.
Son's world class, isn't he? Oh, sorry, mate.
No, we got you. We got you. Carry on, Lee. We can hear you. Carry on.
Yeah, can you hear me? Sorry.
We've got you. We've got you.
Sorry,
Go for it.
Sorry, girls. Sorry, everyone. Yeah, look, with Sonny, I think look, you muted me. Look, Sonny's world class, and I think that it's testament, isn't it? It's testament for Sonny that he's being targeted almost. I think that was his 21st Premier League goal this season. I think he's one behind Mo Salah now. This guy doesn't give enough credit, and actually, to be fair to Arsenal, they've targeted him to say, look, actually, let's try and let's take him down, take him out. Stupid from Rob Holding, because in the end he gets sent off, and it's absolutely brilliant for us. I mean, we're in dreamland, like literally we're in dreamland. We're 2-0 up. They've got a red card, and then. Ironically, in the second half, Sonny comes straight off straight out of the tunnel. Essentially, couple of minutes in, bang, goes 3-0. I mean, literally, their tactics didn't work. They were shocking tonight, absolutely shocking. And anyone that thinks that they've come in, we're going to get top. And look, I'm not deluded, right? I know they're a point above us. I get that. We're getting top 4. Don't you even worry about it. I bet Stefan, I bet all the Gooners, I bet they're not in here tonight, are they? Where are they normally, Rick? They're all over the comments. I bet they're not tonight. And if you are, where are you? Come on, I want to see you, because you absolutely got ruined tonight. Absolutely ruined. But look, all jokes aside and whatever, the tactics for Sonny, I think he handled it really well. I think that they know that he can get wound up. He's been wound up in the past, whatever, Everton and whatnot, back in the day. But he didn't lay down, didn't he? And he put it to him in the second half. It was a good, really good performance. I thought Kane was brilliant today. I thought exactly what he needed to be.
Yeah.
He was very, very good as well. So look, Arsenal bottled it in January, right? Let's have it right. Let's absolutely have it right. They bottled it in January, and when it's come around now, when they've fully fit players and they've got their side, and they're on 4
minus
wins
Romero
on the
for
trot.
Tottenham. Spot on.
Yeah, minus Romero. They've got all their players fit, 4 wins on the bounce, minus Romero. They've got absolutely ruined. That is, they're now not getting top 4, and they know it. They are going back on that bus down the high road, thinking, "Oops, we've messed up here." And it wouldn't surprise me if Newcastle go and smash them.
Yeah, I must just say very quickly, Antonio Conte, he's one that doesn't mind, upsetting the apple cart in terms of his comments post-match. He says on Arteta, he complains or not, he needs to be more focused on his team and not to complain. And that's obviously on the back of the fact that subsequently later on we saw Son obviously, in a situation where with Rob Holding that, it led to obviously Rob Holding's dismissal. We're going to come on to that shortly, but we have to talk about Spurs going ahead. Just before that, we saw a yellow card for Antonio Conte for protesting a decision against Ben Davies. Conte was up and down all night tonight, so animated on that touchline. And that passion for me...
Oh, we got a yellow card. Yeah, I didn't know
got a yellow card, Conte. Yeah, he got a yellow card for protesting against Ben Davies. That, I think, in a way, I've got to be honest with you, that passion rubs off on the players, right? You can see they were up for it. The fans are up for it. And Lee, I must say, man, I don't know if you can see, Lee, there's comments. So much love for you all in the comments, Lee. They're pouring in for you, mate. So
Thank
much love
you, man.
for you in the comments.
I can't see him. I love you both. Hold on, I'm doing a bail. Look, fucking, here we go. Yes. Get in there.
What a guy. What a guy.
I'm in a car park, boys. Jesus, I'm in a car park.
Be where you want tonight, mate. Doesn't matter where you are. It's all love. Penalty to Spurs. Son pushed in the box. Kane sends Ramsdale the wrong way. And Darren, coming over to you, already the ecstasy of Spurs going 1 up. And, Kane now extending that North London derby top scorer record. Kane just seems to thrive in these fixtures, doesn't he?
Oh, big player, big moment, dealt with it beautifully. And as you say, great penalty. He played against Ramsdale. They're on international duty. Someone who knows where he puts his penalties. We all knew he was going to go the other way. God bless him. It's the mind games. Kane is just that ultimate professional. Like, he was a dream tonight. He was an absolute dream. Just the way he controlled his game, the pace of the whole game itself. It was magnificent tonight. Absolutely magnificent. I think going back on the tactics of Arsenal, like holding. I have always said this about Son, and I don't want the world to go crazy about him because I don't want to lose him. He is undoubtedly one of the best players in the world. He is two-footed. He is so humble on the football pitch. He's an absolute team player, and I want him to get golden boot. I really want him to get that golden boot. So I got his frustration because I want him to win it, because Arsenal knew they had to frustrate him. And the gods were on our side tonight as well, gentlemen. And as I said, I knew we was winning tonight because I think the second incident that Son had with holding, he throws the elbow. When Son's on the floor, he goes to throw his elbow and it gets stopped. Like the gods stop that elbow and go, no, Son, don't make contact, because we'd have lost him. And that's what Arsenal were trying to do. They were trying to get in there. And then when he went, it was beautiful, because now we got to see Sonny at his best. We got to see our boys at our best. And that was a massive turning point for us. And that was Arsenal's tactics. They did want to rattle us, because when we play, they know we outplay them. And that's what they didn't want. They didn't want us to play. And that's what we did. We played tonight.
Totally agree. Matty, coming over to you. I mean, listen, I don't think there was any doubt it was a penalty to Spurs. I mean, Cedric, he came right through the back of Son, at the back post from Kulusevski's cross. Definite penalty. Kane just loves a London derby, a North London derby goal, doesn't he, Matty? We'll come on to the record shortly, but Kane just fearless from the spot. Ice cold, never a doubt in your mind, Matty, you was going to put that one away?
Never a doubt. And that's... It's a nice feeling to have that, because penalties obviously can go either way. But I think it's 20 penalties in a row now that he scored since he missed his last one. I think it was against Southampton down at St Mary's. And the most beautiful thing about it is, I don't know if you saw, he's been interviewed after the game and he was asked, because he usually whips that, he goes for the top left corner, but he went bottom right this time, and he was talking about how he obviously practiced penalties in the England setup against Darren Ramsdale, and he went for that side like he always does, and he knew Ramsdale was going to go that way. And it's that sort of that mentality in those mind games that he knew he was sending Ramsdale the wrong way, and he put it in the bottom corner. And I agree with you. It was a penalty. I think it was a soft penalty, but it was one that had to be given, because Cedric does not make much contact with Son, but once Son is off the ground, any bit of contact is going to throw him out of the way. He's going to go to ground. I think if Son stays on his feet, it's no penalty, but he went to ground like he should have done, and it is a foul because Cedric nudges him when he's in the air. It's simple. There's no decision there for the referee to make, and I question where Arteta is coming from with these comments, where he refused to say, "Oh, if I say what I think, I'll be banned for 6 months." It was a stonewall red card for hairline holding, and that's a stonewall penalty. And I don't think there's any argument to be had about it.
No, I totally agree. Darren, before we come on to the actual incident that led to the sending off, do you have a view on just how calm personified Kane is from the spot? Because it is a skill and an art in itself, isn't it? To have that amount of pressure in such a high-stake game for Tottenham, where we know we've got to win it. You've got all those fans, fans that, let's be honest, at the start of the season were really disappointed by the fact of how, the whole Man City treatment played out with Kane. But do you feel in a way Kane, with that performance tonight, has almost repaid some of the doubters, some of the naysayers that maybe wanted to move on? What would you make of the penalty in the way?
Listen, if there are people who are still holding on to that, they need to definitely let that go tonight. Kane showed, as he's been showing for a long while this season, since he's had his rebirth. Let's call it a rebirth. He went a bit crazy start of the season, had a bit of a moment. Now he's been reborn. Tonight, that penalty there for me, that's what you call world class. Because in a derby, in those games, let's look at Benzema. You look at players who take penalties like that. That's a pressure penalty. And for Kane, it's absolutely nothing. He, as someone said in the comments, he's an iceman. He's ice cold. He's cool as a cucumber. And that, for me, separates the players that you're looking at. That gives Spurs that level above, because that's world class. That is someone there who you put your house on him. And 20 in 20, that's phenomenal. That is a phenomenal statistic. So, Harry Kane, I'm with you, my friend. Anyone who's still holding on to that City malarkey, let's let that go. He ain't going nowhere. And trust me, glory, Tottenham Hotspurs.
Yeah, totally agree. We're going to try and check in with Lee McQueen. Here he is. Here's the vision. Look at that. It's like stars in your eyes. Here he comes back into the light. Isn't it amazing? You know,
I'm
call
back,
his
baby.
name.
I'm back.
Heaven opens and Lee McQueen comes back into centrefold. Couldn't make this show up. It really was a stars in your eyes moment there. Lee, if we can discuss the actual sending off incident, because we actually saw Arsenal really rocking for a bit after that first goal and then holding booked for then a giveaway really with Cedric leading to shots from Kane and Royale. And obviously the incident itself, we saw Dyer pinging a ball over the top and Højbjerg stepped forward to block Son. There was like a shoulder-elbow combination. It was a really, I thought, cynical and pretty idiotic foul, if I've got to be honest with you, that led to the sending off. And it was a second yellow for clattering Son. Looked predictable, to be honest with you. It just felt with Holding, he was really running a tight line. I know many comments here. That's, to be honest, at that point there, it could have been his fourth yellow card, Holding. You were almost wondering for that 15 minutes in between. He could have gone at any given moment because some of the changes being made were so on the line that when he did go off, you felt he should have been off quite a while ago. I mean, what did you make, Lee, of the actual sending off? Got to be the right decision, surely, based on what's taken place overall in that 15, 20 minutes in the build-up to it.
Sounds like Fabinho at the weekend. He could have been sent off about 3 times. But that was Liverpool, obviously, and this is Arsenal. Look, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I didn't see the sending off. I can't remember it. I was probably singing something like Arsenal get battered everywhere they go, because they do. No, I mean, I think it was a tactic, like we said earlier. It was a tactic to try and get under Son's skin or try and stop Son playing, and he took it too far, and it completely backfired. They couldn't handle it. They at the back, they couldn't handle what we had for them. I mean, I've got a really, really good friend. One of my best mates is an Arsenal fan, and we were in Florida recently together, and I said this on the group about, you know, the swing between Tottenham's going to get top 4, Arsenal going to get top 4. He's literally just messaged. That's what I was checking when you guys are talking, and he was like, "We were an absolute shambles tonight at the back across the park. We were outplayed," and that's an Arsenal fan saying that, and they were. Yeah, we were by far the better team, without a shadow of a doubt, and fully deserved. You know, like Matty said, like, to be fair, it should have been more. You know, I said to one of the lads in the ground, if this was Australian cricket team, they would have your foot on your throat, wouldn't they? And they would just keep going and going. And that's what we needed to do, just to really pulverise him. No, I don't know what the swing is. I've got no stats on me. There's no blue book here tonight, lads. And
you're joking. I thought you were it on you, Lee. What's going on here? How dare you?
I've got no blue book. Lads and listeners and viewers, girls, I've got no blue book. But, so I don't know what the swing is. I think, obviously, if we won 3-0 and we had a 7 before, 6 was it before, we must have a plus ridiculous goal difference now, because it's taken off of them, isn't it? It's just a 13 goal difference or something now, is it? Yeah. So look, I know we still need Newcastle to do us a favour, but if they go up there and play like they did against us tonight, they're going to get beat, and they know it, and that's why they're worried. And Rob Holding won't be playing, will he, boys?
No. Like I say, it's funny because, Lee, I mean, just on this point, going over to you, Matty, you know, just to get your view on the whole build-up, really, because, you know, we've seen it had been coming. He'd been trying to wind Son up, really, from that opening 10 minutes, and it almost ended up doing himself in with the stupid elbow. I mean, as we said, it's a second booking. It could have been 3 or 4 at that point, Matty, couldn't it, really, when you look at the overall 10, 15 minutes in the build-up to that? Was that just a case of him being too pumped up, or the fact Spurs kept their composure in a game in which we knew how crucial it was for us?
And it was the word ego. I think Rob Holding was, you know, he's obviously struggled to get in that team. I think Ben White and Gabriel have been really good for Arsenal this season. Credit where it's due. He's stepped in, he's done well in the absence of Ben White, but I think there was just something when he was given such an important job to do from minute 1, stick to Son, put a few challenges in, the whole typical let him know you're there. And I think it got to his head, and he thought he was better than he was. He thought as though he could have the upper hand at one of the best players in the Premier League, and he got his just desserts. You know, it was 3 fouls already when he got that yellow card. And exactly as Lee said, Fabinho was doing the exact same thing against us last Saturday and against Aston Villa on Tuesday. And I even tweeted it when Fabinho was getting away with that against Villa. There should be a rule that we commit a certain number of fouls, you get a yellow card. I know persistent infringement is a thing, but there's no set definition on it. The referee, as soon as that third one went in for Rob Holding tonight, he gave him that yellow card. And to be honest, I thought that gave us the upper hand in a way that Holding couldn't play that game against Son anymore. You know, Son would have that time and space to turn and be able to run at the Arsenal defence, but I still can't figure out what he was thinking and why he did that, because that ball has gone over his head. Son has gone around this side and the ball has gone over the other side. That's running through to Ramsdale. Absolutely fine. And for whatever reason, he throws up an elbow. And again, it's a simple decision for the referee to make. And in that moment, the game is over. Spurs have won because we have the crowd behind us. We're already starting to get the momentum in the game, and Holding getting sent off. For whatever reason, Arteta didn't bring Ben White on. I think he has to react sooner to what happens there. And they were talking about it as well on Sky, kind of looking at Arteta's reaction. So Arteta said bringing Ben White on was never a solution. Sky Sports show Ben White going out to warm up, going to get in his jersey, taking one of those energy pouches. He was ready to come on. Then Spurs get that second goal. And Arteta saying there was no point in bringing him on. Well, that's him accepting the game's over. And that's accepting defeat. And I think that's testament to how fantastic Spurs were. But we do have to acknowledge Holding did us a massive favour with the sheer idiocy that he came out with tonight.
I totally agree. Do you know what's funny? As Matty says there, coming over to you, Darren, on this, Spurs fans waving him off. He actually becomes the 7th Arsenal player to be shown a red card in their 30 penalty matches against Tottenham. He joins Stefan Schwartz, Martin Keown, Freddie Lundberg, Emmanuel Boué, Francis Coquelin, Lucas Torreira. And, Arteta after the game, I've got to say this. His comment says, if I say what I think, then I'm going to be suspended for 6 months. I prefer not to say what I think. The beautiful game was destroyed tonight. Darren, where is he coming from? What has led him? Has he watched a different game to us tonight? Which, what does he not agree with there? Can you understand what he's trying to get to?
For me, it made me laugh, because what he's not being honest about, which he'll probably sleep and have nightmares about, was his tactic. That was his instructions. He told Holding to get tight on Son. That was his idea. He wanted them to get touch tight to Kane. That was his idea. Now, I said it to Arsenal fans all day. They were giving it all the Johnny Big Balls. I said, you guys have far more players on the pitch that press the self-destruct button. Your whole centre midfield presses the destruct button. They're ready to implode on themselves. And that's what Arsenal did today. They had a tactic that they thought they would rough us up. Gary Neville was hilarious tonight. He didn't want to praise us. It was hurting his soul to compliment what we were doing. He was saying how well Arsenal were playing for so much of the game. I was like, is he watching the same thing? I was like, him and Arteta were drinking the same sherbets. I was very confused. And as you saw there, they came with a tactic. Arteta's got upset because it didn't work. He's realised that the tools that he has are not very good. And he looked at Tottenham and went, if you saw, there was a beautiful moment where the camera stayed on Arteta and he turned and goes like this. And I was like, Arteta, beautiful, beautiful. Because your face there said everything we needed to say. Your team got smoked. They got battered. Your tactics were horrendous. Your back four don't know how to defend against world-class defenders like Kane, Son and Kulusevski. Tottenham were outrageously better than you guys today. And if you want to moan in a press conference, all I'm going to say is that will be the rest of your season. You looked at the moment when you needed to bring Ben White on. You gave him his energy boost. As the pundits looked at it, your team did nothing to set up for the corner. Kane was being marked by your striker. That there just highlights you've got no leaders, no one running your ship. And it's a beautiful thing for Spurs right now, because that implosion that happened tonight, I hope it happens again against Newcastle, and Spurs, we just continue going on, because the energy in the eyes of our Spurs players tonight, the energy from Conte, that is driving us right to the finish line. I believe it. I've always believed it, and I say believe it.
Yeah. I love Darren so much. I literally agree with everything you just said. Like, literally. Come on. Absolutely brilliant.
Lee, I must ask you, just on Arteta's comments, I don't know if you've picked up on his, Lee, in the last few minutes.
I haven't picked him up. You have to tell me, Rick. Talk to me.
So Arteta, as I've said there, he can't understand the refereeing performance tonight. And Conte has bitten back at him in the post-match presser and said, Arteta, he complains a lot. He needs to be more focused on his team and not to complain. Can you understand, Lee, at all, how Arteta can have any disagreement? I know you haven't seen the sending off. Pretty irrelevant question this to ask, Lee. But anyway, you've not seen the sending off. You don't know about the incident. How can Arteta moan about any refereeing decision tonight?
I did see. I was waving him off the pitch, Rick. I'm not quite sure that I saw the send off, but I was waving him off. Look, I'll be honest with you. Arteta's it's a classic defensive mode. He knows that he's got it wrong. He knows that he's in the wrong. So he's gone on the defensive by trying to blame other stuff. He's riled. It's brilliant. This is literally exactly where we need Arteta to be right now. It's absolutely, it's laughable. Get the popcorn out. I bet Arsenal
Yeah.
TV's rocking tonight, baby.
I can
get that
tell
on.
you from the comments here.
Where's
make
Robbie?
you-
Come on, Robbie.
make-
Come on
make-
in, son.
Make sure you stay with us, and afterwards go and check out the post-match AFTV content. Apparently, it's something worth watching. But I know a lot of people will be watching back the highlights from tonight, and even probably the extended highlights and the full match after. So I don't think there'll be much sleep tonight. Definitely not in the McQueen household, as you can see there. Matty, coming back round to you. We've lost 2 for 1 there. We've lost Lee and Darren at the same time. This is what it is, the beauty of going live. Darren's come back. Lee will have him at some point. Who knows when, but he'll be back. Matty, I've got to say overall, we've just discussed Arteta's comments there. Having a couple more moments to think about it, what can he be angry about tonight? You've said earlier that for you, you just can't fathom it. Having a more couple minutes to think about it, anything you can understand tonight from a Spurs performance that was so dominant, why Arteta would be so frustrated about it?
I can't. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I can see not even frustration, but kind of he can feel a bit aggrieved over the penalty because it was a soft decision, and I think the penalty is one of those where it's given by the referee, VAR won't overturn it. But if it's not given by the referee, VAR won't overturn it either. One of those is kind of in that middle ground. But like I said earlier, ultimately, when Son is off the ground and he gets a barge in the back like that, it's a penalty. It's a penalty, and he needs to direct that anger at Cedric. He needs to direct that anger at Rob Holding. He needs to direct that anger at himself. Like Darren said, he's the one who told them to go out and play the game like they did. And the only reasoning I can kind of think of with this is that maybe him putting together an interview like that is a deflection from Lee's happy. It's a deflection from the performance, and he's trying to.
We've got him.
He's trying to take the attention off the players, take the attention off Holding, off Cedric, off Ramsdale, who didn't have a bad game, but I hate him, so I just point him out. I think that he's maybe just protecting that, and he's trying to get the attention on himself, but he's not done it in a very good way. He's not done it in a very clever way, and I thought he was even rude to the interviewer, just point blank refusing to answer the questions and saying, there's no sense in what he did. But that's Arteta. That's Arteta.
I totally agree. And like I say, as Nicky says here, LOS on tour. We are going on some form of European tour. Let's hope it is in the elite competition, fingers crossed. But what we will do is we will go for our first break of the show for our listeners and audio. Taking into that break, you're going to hear from a jubilant Antonio Conte and Harry Kane, who give you their thoughts. And there might be a couple of other Tottenham players in there. Let's not get carried away. You might hear from Hartman as well during this first ad break of the show. For watching on YouTube, listen, there's nearly, I think there's over 1,000 of you watching us live. Thank you so much for your incredible support. Listen, I know we've turned around the show tonight, but that's kudos to the wonderful Lee McQueen, actually at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, on his way back now. Thankfully, we've got him out, and he's on his way. Matty Hayes,
He's a gooner.
brilliant. Matty.
No, I'll be honest with you, just quickly, right, I'm in that Uber now, so I'm really sorry to have 1,000 people watching us live, and I'm in an Uber. I'm so sorry. But there's a gooner right outside there. The police are restraining the Arsenal fan, right? Because he's getting wild because we just talked about Arteta. Go on, you Spurs.
The wonderful Lee McQueen. Never failed to disappoint. He's on his way back now, thankfully. The wonderful Matty Hayes and the brilliant, of course, actor Darren Hartman getting us through. You said, well, not that you don't have to get us through. We're on cloud 9 right now. We're on cloud 9 talking about Tottenham Hotspur, of course, in what can only be described as a wonderful North London derby victory. Now, for our watching audience and for our listeners as well, you'll know this season that Last Word on Spurs has been proudly sponsored by NordVPN. So for those that are aware of this, of course, Nord are an incredibly easy-to-use, secure network. We call them the Harry Kane of VPNs. They're incredible in all their facets, with the device protection of Christian Romero and the internet speed of Heung-min Son. It is worth mentioning that NordVPN does protect you against bandwidth throttling like that Arsenal back line tonight. I didn't have a clue where they were going. And they've launched also a brand new threat protection feature as well. So make sure, we're going to share a code with you on the screen right now, if you can still hear me, that you can get your discount off NordVPN by simply going to the address of www.nordvpn.com/LWOS. Go and check that out. Brilliant. Like I say, I think for us, when you're going through the airport, you need to avoid all those dodgy connections. NordVPN, go and check them out. Go and check them out for sure. Right, and we've got to get into what's already a jam-packed show with so much to talk about. We've barely even got going. I don't want to scare everyone. It is 45 minutes and we've barely got going. Listen, we are going to, I promise you, we'll be finishing at a reasonable time tonight. No one be too scared. Lee's already panicking, thinking, my God, how much is this going to cost me? It's going to be absolutely fine. Don't panic. Lee will come back.
I was panicking here, boys. I'm panicking here.
Lee, we'll come back round to you because Bentancur, of course, winning a really big first header from a corner. Harry Kane there to nod in, and Spurs going 2 up. And Sonny Lee, just a bit more calmness in an North London derby. 10 men Arsenal, 2-0. I think that really the second goal, not the stuffing out of him. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. And what I also want to say quickly about Harry Kane, I've just checked my battery. My battery on my phone, Rick, is pretty low. Harry Kane, thanks, man. My Uber driver's just given me a charger. Happy
I'll
days.
tell you what.
Look,
Listen, can we thank that Uber
What a
driver?
legend.
We've got more McQueen
Absolute
on your
legend.
way. Don't you panic.
No. Honestly, it's more McQueen, unfortunately for you lot. But
And we've lost him. We've lost him. You're on mute. You're on mute. We've got you, Lee. We've got you.
3 months ago, probably a bit longer than that, before maybe December, Harry Kane in November, I think he'd scored 3 goals under Nuno. It was absolutely shocking. And people were writing him off, and people were saying, naff off to City and this, that, and the other. And there's a lot of us on the pod that totally backed Harry Kane. And me and Jason said, I still think he'd get 15 Premier League goals this season. And at the time, he'd only scored, I think it was 2 or 3 Premier League goals. Well, tonight, take a bow, Harry Kane. He scored 15 Premier League goals. And I still think he's going to go and get at least another 3, maybe even 4 in the last 2 games of the season. He's going to end up, the fella, on 18, 19 goals this season in the Premier League, plus all the goals he scored for England. Didn't he score like 7 or whatever it was? This guy is an absolute phenomenon. And when it matters, especially against Arsenal, I ain't got the stats, so I've got no blue book, right? But I ain't got the stats. But I'm telling you, this geezer against Arsenal is just literally different class.
Yeah.
He must be the highest goal scorer. Is he, Matty? I don't know. Darren, you've got the stats.
No, he is. Yeah,
he's got to be the highest goal scorer in North London.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
And the coolest personified with a penalty, and then obviously with his second goal as well. The guy's class. I mean, they're both absolutely brilliant. Him and Son, just superb.
Yeah, I totally agree. Matty, coming over to you. It was a lovely diving header from Harry Kane, but we mustn't forget, it was Bentancur, the man that won the header there for Kane to dive in at the back post. Matty, at that point, did you feel quite relaxed, 2-0 up, Arsenal down to 10 men, or was there still a little bit of nerves inside?
No, at that point, that was it. It was over, and I was just thinking how many we can get. Again, part of me is kind of annoyed that we didn't get more, but that just shows how great the game was. It was such a weird way for us to get that goal as well, because we don't score from corners and Arsenal don't concede from corners, so it was quite an absurd way for it to happen. But shocking defending from Arsenal, incredible poacher play from Harry Kane. It's a good delivery in from Son, good flick on from Bentancur. It's not the best flick on in the world, but he puts it into a very dangerous position where even if Eddie Nketiah is the one who gets to that ball first, appreciate it, Carl. Even if Nketiah gets to that ball first, he tried to clear it, he could end up putting it in the back of the net. He's put it into a very dangerous area, and it's typical Harry Kane getting in around the back post there. And there was a massive shift when that red card happened. Kind of in the crowd and stuff like that. But once that second goal went in, you could see the entire Arsenal team was deflated. I think that's the point, like I mentioned, that Arteta decides not to bring Ben White on, so he's accepting that game is over there. And it's from that moment, it's damage limitation from Arsenal, which is absolutely hilarious. But the entire shift there was such an important goal. And to get it so quickly after that red card as well, I think was huge, because that hammer blow to Arsenal going a man down completely wipes out everything they've left in them when we get that goal. And it's just typical Harry Kane, like Ricky or like Lee is saying, he's highest goal scorer in North London derby history. He's also the player who has scored more Premier League goals against Arsenal overall. That's 13 now he scored against them. And people are going to keep bringing up that photo of him in an Arsenal kit with his face painted red when he's 8 years old, but he's 100% Spurs. He's 100% the white side of North London at this point, and it's an absolute pleasure to see. And let's be honest, with Haaland going to Manchester City, we've got him for at least another 12 months. He's going to smash records. He's going to smash more records. Let's go for Alan Shearer's. It is an absolute pleasure to see him play at Spurs. And I haven't had to go through the bad periods of the 90s and the 2000s like some Spurs fans have. I've been lucky enough that in the kind of 10, 12 years I've been supporting Tottenham, we've gotten to see incredible players like Gareth Bale, like Luka Modric, like Van der Vaart, like Jermaine Defoe, like Heung-min Son. But Harry Kane, despite the class and ability of those other players, is away in a league of his own. He is absolutely sensational, and you can never, ever write him off.
No, I totally agree. Darren, come over to you as you know, as Matt there lords over Harry Kane. And some of these stats here about Kane. He's now scored 73 Premier League goals since the start of the 2018-19 season. That was 17 goals. 19-20, 18 goals. 20-21, 23 goals. And this season, bearing in mind, as Lee said earlier, under Nuno, he was not having a shot on target. He's already amassed 15 goals. There's still, of course, as we know, we've got a couple of games to go. Kane, the ratio, the record, the belief, the desire to keep on wanting to improve, despite, you know, the not greatest start to the season. How do you sum that up, Darren, to be that professional in what you do year after year, season after season? The consistency of the guy's incredible, isn't it?
It's what you call a superstar. It's as simple as that. There are some players who are good players and great players. Harry Kane is a superstar. His dedication to his game, his craft, his art. He is a person that you know is on that training field forever. Matt, I'm loving the fact that you haven't gone through the craziness that we've gone through and seen some of the shocking players we've had up front in our years. And now you've seen the glory days. And Kane is just...
I've been lucky.
He's just phenomenal. He's absolutely phenomenal. And as we talk stats, I know Mr. McQueen is normally the king of stats. Sky did a hilarious stat. When we got the corner, they put a stat up on the screen, how Arsenal are the team who are the hardest to score from corners from. They are so good at defending corners.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
what happened?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. The timing was golden. And I think that's also another thing, the timing. The timing of runs and movements. Bentancur winning that header and Kane anticipating, being alive to that situation. If he gets it, I know where I need to be. And I think that is beautiful to watch the connection between that Spurs side right now. Everyone's in tune with each other. People are reading each other. And that is really going to carry us forward. And as you said, there's 2 more games to go. I want Son to get golden boot, Kane to get 4 more if Leeds right. And listen, let's go out on a big win. Let's go out on a big high. 2 massive victories. Let's take it. Let's get that top 4. Let's celebrate. Let's all get back to a pod and let's go to a pub and let's really have a good one because we deserve it, gents. We deserve it.
I totally agree. And it's funny because the goal that Spurs scored, it wasn't too dissimilar to a previous goal that we saw scored in this fixture, actually, with Spurs and Arsenal. And it's, it is, the fact Spurs and the way that, as Darren said there, a club that have been quite hard to break down from corners. Spurs seem to really find their way to it. And then we saw there was absolutely no holding back for Heung-min Son, who put Spurs into a real lead of command, 3-0. Kane did ever so well because he actually looked at one point to be fouled in the box, but the ball broke for Son. And the sumptuous finish, Matty, from Heung-min Son. You know what? We had that thing before about, daring and doing. I tell you what, delivering Heung-min Son. Mm-hmm. Actually after the game, he said how much he loves to play and score against Arsenal. And you can actually see that. He absolutely enjoyed that goal, the celebration with the fans. Sonny, Matty, a season where he's been remarkable. I think, 21 goals now, no penalties. I think a goal now behind Mohamed Salah in the race for the Golden Boot, who I tell you what, Son has just been remarkable this season. And there's always that worldwide debate about if he's world-class, if he's not world-class. I mean, you look at his stats this season, it's very hard to disagree with him not being world-class. And the big goals that he scored in big games for Tottenham, a North London derby as well, he's there again. Sonny, what did you make of that goal for him, Matty, tonight?
It was typical Son. There's something so innocuous about that finish as well, because I obviously don't know how it looked in the ground, but on TV, it was weird because the ball kind of fell back to him and he seemed to hit it and he kind of pulled out of the shot. And then before he knew it, was in the back of the net. Like, there was something a bit innocuous about it, which was just made it more enjoyable, to be honest, because he got to just drink it in a little bit more. But he stepped it up a level this season, and I don't know how or why or where it's come from. The only thing I can kind of think of is with this new kind of style of play that he was put into under Jose Mourinho. It took a while for him to really find his place in that, and given how incredible he was early on, there was always improvement to be had. But I think within that relationship with Harry Kane, adding in the fact that we have a third player in that attack now who has that relationship as well, and he's getting that better understanding and that more kind of tactical knowledge of this role that he's playing, it's pushing him onto another level that we didn't really think was possible, which is absolutely beautiful to see. But he's putting goals away for fun. He's got more goals on his left foot than he has on his right foot this season, which is ridiculous to think about. He's the highest scorer against teams in the top 4. That goal tonight was his 7th. He's got the second most goals and assists in the league, second most goals. He's up there on par with Mohamed Salah, who Liverpool fans have been telling us is the best player in the world, who apparently is going to go on and win the Ballon d'Or. Son is only a goal behind, playing in a much worse, well, not much worse, but a team that isn't as good as Liverpool. And Son, I do agree that he doesn't get the plaudits that he fully deserves because he's playing in a team with Harry Kane. But the best thing about Son is we've never had the rumours. We've never had Real Madrid are coming in for him. We've never had City, Bayern. It's never happened. And I think that's partly down to him being slightly overshadowed by Kane. But I think it's mainly down to the fact that everyone can see how much he loves this football club. Everyone can see that Tottenham is his home, Spurs is his home. This is the team, if he wins something, he wants to do it with. And it's absolutely beautiful. And with talking about Kane and talking about Son, I think one of my favourite things out of this season at the moment is it feels very much like the end of 2016-17, where we just fell short. We were fighting Chelsea for that league title towards the end. We just fell short. Harry Kane, I think, was 2 goals behind Romelu Lukaku in the top 4 race going into the last couple of games of the season. Then we went down to the King Power. We beat them 6-1. We went up to the KC Stadium to play Hull. We beat them 7-1. And there's just a feeling about that with this season that's kind of similar to that. And it could be amazing for us going into those last couple of games of the season, but it's also, even if we miss out on our goal, if we don't get into that top 4, there's a massive positive momentum around this football club that we haven't had since that Champions League final going into that game. And it's so great to see because, of course, we want Champions League, but it's not the end of the world if we don't get it. And with players like Son and Kane going into next season, having that extra something, that extra fight that Conte's given them, getting in signings, this club is going in an incredible direction, and Son is pivotal to that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Lee, coming over to you, I'm not even going to ask you about the debate about Son because you tell us all the time how highly you rate Sonny. As I said to the boys earlier, 21 goals for Son, 0 penalties, just now 1 goal behind Mohamed Salah for the Golden Boot. I mean, and the goal tonight, Lee, calmness personified. The cheekly to finish like that. And he just loves, doesn't he? As I said to the boys, he loves playing against Arsenal, loves scoring against them, and he just seems to get what it means playing for this football club, doesn't he, from Son?
100%. He's become like Mr. Tottenham, isn't he? Like, obviously, we talked about Kane before, and Kane and Son, and they're a deadly duo. Correct me if I'm wrong, I might be completely wrong here, but who set that Son goal up? Did that go down as a Kane assist?
You know what?
Might have,
It should do.
I think Gary Neville was trying to hurt him. Yeah, Gary Neville was trying to give it to
hi
Kane.
to Zoe Pearson, by the way. I know she's watching, so fantastic. Nice to see you, Zoe. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, mate. We've got you. We've still got you, Lee. We've got Lee, but Lee might not have us. It's one of them where we're not sure. We're gonna check back in with Lee. We're gonna come around to Darren, and Darren, Heung-min Son, as we discussed, unbelievable. I mean, the finish itself, to have the audacity to dink it like that. And you know what? It's funny because I think for the first 10 minutes, you would honestly think Romero would be the miss. But I think for Arsenal, really, after that third goal, it was actually Ben White they were really, really missing on the night. Maybe just, again, his guidance, his leadership overall. And Son really took full advantage of a really weak Arsenal defence, down to 10. And the finish was just sumptuous, wasn't it, as I said, for Heung-min Son?
Gorgeous finish. I think something else about Son's game this season that I've been really impressed by, well, since Kulusevski arrived, I've really seen it up, is his hold-up play. Son never used to be someone who could play with his back. And suddenly, there were so many moments today where he was showing me, and he showed me in a few other games, but it really showed up today because he was really being clattered from behind. And he was holding a man off, and he was using his wide back. And I was like, I've not seen this side of your game. It's another evolution. It's another growth. And I think that, for me, was amazing to see. And the finish, like watching it back 3 or 4 times. First time, I thought it was a toe punt. Then I was like, did he mean to catch it the way he did? But it was a perfect finish because he saw the gap and just placed it in there. And like you say, pulled his foot away, just gave it a little ding to make sure it went where it needed to go. The guy's quality. We're quality. And it was a quality night. So you know what? I'm going to keep smiling on it. I am. And I'm probably going to watch the game again before I go to my bed. I'm just going to watch the full 60. I just need to see 60 minutes. Because then we get to Ole football. Just give me 60 and then it's Ole football.
I agree. And even the club were tweeting Ole at one point. It was that remarkable. Lee, we'll come back round to you because we lost you there for a brief initial period. I mean, Spurs actually, that's fine. We lost. I mean, Spurs were close to a fourth at one point. Kane heading goalwards, and even Emerson Royale got in nearly on the act. But it was a wonderful save from Ramsdale. That tells you just Spurs' dominance. That Emerson Royale in the attacking third, a player that is not really seen in the attacking third, nearly scoring for Tottenham tonight. And Ramsdale took off a really good save.
we had a pact, me, Colsey, and Dave Martin, who I sit together with. Well, we didn't sit, by the way. By the way, South Stand on their feet the whole night. Absolutely
No one
amazing.
was sitting in that South Stand. It was a
We
remarkable
were.
night.
I was standing with Colsey and Dave, and we said, if Emerson Royale scores tonight, we're all going to Vegas. we were just going to Vegas tonight. We're going to Heathrow straight after the game. And he nearly did. We were like, oh, that wouldn't have gone down well.
That saved you a new wallet, that, Lee.
It did. Yeah, but no, exactly. Like, and that's the thing about Arsenal. Like, Arteta can come out and give it all the moaning, the groaning, and this, that, and the other. But they were just second best tonight. And sometimes you just got to put your hands up and say, do you know what? We weren't good enough. I think they've gone down. I did have a quick look at the stats while you boys are talking. So I do love a stat. And I think they had 4 shots on target. But them shots on target they had must have been like just, Lloris catches or something. Because I don't remember them like troubling us at all. Maybe once. I don't really remember anything else. We had 6 shots on target. We're back to shooting on target, Rick, after going and Brighton and Brentford like the Nuno days. And look, if we get 6, 7 shots on target a game, we win a football match. We normally score 3. I think since Antonio Conte's been here, I think we've got an average. I did work it out before the Brighton, and it might be a little bit lower now because of the Brighton and Brentford game, but average shots on target 7 per match. And when you look at how many goals we've scored since the turn of the year, you've got a goal difference. You look at goals scored, goals against. You look at everything against with Tottenham. We're third. We're third in the league. Amounts of points, amounts of goals scored. That is the trajectory that Matty and Darren was talking about earlier. Is that regardless if we don't get 4th, because look, it is out of our hands. We do need a favour from Newcastle, which I think we get, to be honest. But if we don't get 4th, what we have got is that pure momentum. Like we are the 3rd best team in the Premier League right now, and long may that continue. Because if it does, I think we're going to give the 2 heavyweights a bit of a run for their money next year with a few additions in the summer. And I think for me, that's why it's so important to get top 4. I think the money that you get with Champions League has changed this season. Somebody will verify this. I'm sure one of the viewers or the listeners, maybe Adrian, if you're watching, Adrian, you'll be able to verify this for me. But I think you get about 100 million quid because it's changed slightly. The format slightly changed. So just for getting in and the sponsorship and everything. And I'm absolutely convinced that Todd and the guys down in the commercial world of Spurs are waiting for us to get Champions League before we go and get a stadium sponsor. So because we could probably go and get another 20% revenue on top if we're in the Champions League. So it is massive to get in the Champions League. Absolutely huge for us. And I think we're going to do it. And it's it's not just about playing Champions League football. It's about, I know sometimes people don't like to know this, but or like to think about it like this, but football is a business, right? And at the end of the day, we just spent £1 billion or whatever it was on a stadium and then got hit by COVID. We need some sort of injection. And like the fantastic Kieran that we've had on Last One of Spurs a good few times, Ricky, as you'll know, he always says that we're 100 million behind when we start a season. The likes of Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea can do what they want. Newcastle coming up, they can do what they want. So we do need to get that Champions League football to get that extra revenue. And the other key thing is, lads, girls, listeners, viewers, the other thing is we need to stop them from getting it. That's also massively important because I actually I'll say something maybe controversial here. I can give a flying monkeys if we're above them or they're above them. I ain't bothered about that. Poch taught me that. It wasn't about being above Arsenal. It was about being the best that we can be. I'm not bothered about Arsenal. I ain't bothered. But the fact that that we stop them from getting Champions League football, stop them from getting that 100 million, stop them from progressing, that's massive. It's like a double, what is it, a 6-pointer. What we saying it, a 6-pointer at the bottom of the league or whatever. If we get top 4, that is huge for us and terrible for them. And I think if we don't get top 4, it's big for them, but not terrible for us. And I hope that makes sense.
It does make sense. That does make sense. It does make sense very much so. And what we will do is we will go for our next break of the show for our listeners on audio. Listen, I must just say, there's still over 1,000 of you watching us live. So thank you so much.
That is amazing. Smash the likes, people. Smash the likes. I want 1,000 likes. Come on. I'm in an Uber. I was freezing, sitting on a cold wall in a car park. the least you can do is smash the likes. Give me the thumbs up, people. Give me 1,000 likes on a North London derby night where we just absolutely ruined Arsenal. Come on, people. Let's see them rocking up. Like. Let's go.
Listen, you heard from McQueen. Give the man what he wants. Give him the likes. We must also just say, for our watching audience listeners, that we're actually being delighted to be sponsored by Beavertown. Of course, a quick shout out to Beavertown, the corner pin. We were there earlier tonight. And I've got to say, it was rocking in there. It was absolutely rocking in there. So nice to see all of you guys that shared your love for Last Word on Spurs. So lovely to meet all of you. Incredible atmosphere in there. And of course, they're bang opposite the South Stand. They've been doing some great home when away televised away games there. The Liverpool game recently there. Of course, listen, we've got some big games still to come this season. Make sure you go and check them out. We've had obviously some great beer down there, company, and most important of all, great chats with Spurs fans. Got a big telly in the garden, pre-match DJ. Gimme.
To add,
Wally.
gimme, mate. Gimme. Just to add on the Beavertown as well, right? You go down and get a bit of neck oil, get a bit of gamma ray, but you can also get some of the Lupoloid on the can. If you're going for the laser crust, like obviously I was on the laser crust tonight. I know everybody knows that I was on the laser crust. I was on that like tonight. You can get that. It's 0.3% alcohol, so it's no alcohol at all. So there's a massive range of IPAs down there. They do lager for you old school people down there that are still on lager, which is a bit weird in this day and age. But if you're still drinking lager, you can get lager down at Beavertown. But my personal favourite, get yourself down there for a couple of neck oils, a double neck oil, maybe some gamma rays. It's perfect, mate. Beavertown, corner pin, beautifully done.
I'll tell you what, right? We must go through some of the player performances because there was some real amazing player performances. And I think the only real place to start really is about the subjective teamings that came in. And that means Davinson Sanchez, right? Because I think all of us going into the game, there was maybe that fear that we've lost one of our commanders, one of our leaders, one of the men that's galvanised Spurs this season, purely just by his crunching tackles alone in Christian Romero. And we wish him a speedy recovery. And Ali Gold, obviously friend of the show, Ali has, I think, said that ahead of it, of course, that potentially he may miss the rest of the season. So obviously that's slightly concerning. We'll bring you more when we know more. There's been nothing in terms of anything more on that since Antonio Conte's post-match presser. So any further news on this, we'll let you know. But Sanchez tonight came in to replace Romero. There were, from the moment go, there was some early moments where maybe you thought a little bit of hesitancy, just trying to find his room into the game. But I've got to say, he was so composed and he played his part in a real efficient, dynamic Spurs performance. And do you know what? Credit to Davinson Sanchez, because as I said earlier, it's not easy to come into a team that is well-oiled, knows their roles and just slot in. But he was class, composed, assured. Fair play to Davinson Sanchez. Let's come on to you, Darren, because that's not an easy role to come into and just make it look like he's been playing all season, isn't it, really?
Listen, Davinson, I'm putting the hat on and I'm taking it off for you, mate. You deserve that. You deserve that. Now, I'm always a man who studied the defence, and that back three has been playing so well together. They've got a system. They've got a format. They're starting to read each other and just believe and know each other. So when you lose what I think is the general, and I know some people may think Eric Dyer is, I think Romero is the general. When you lose the general, there is a worry. And you bring in Davinson Sanchez, who's a lovely, lovely player, but we know there's a mistake in him. And it was like, who was going to lead? And where was the out ball going to come? And as you said, Matt, who was going to provide that ball out of the back four, which we know Romero does so well? And who was going to drive that defence and push us forward? And I think at the beginning, that first 6, 7, 8 minutes, they were all looking at each other like, who's going to do that? Who's going to lead it? Who's going to be in control? And I think what happened was Davinson said, I'm going to do it. And I was just so impressed by him. He never looked fazed. He never looked worried. Like I said, highlight reel for him tonight was his passing Harry Kane, that ball to feet, started the second half, which started the goal. Like, that's not a Davinson Sanchez pass. I'm not used to seeing that. So I'm very much in a position where if Romero is out, and I hope he isn't, but if he is, if Davinson does that for the next 2 games, what? I'm a happy man. I'm a very, very happy man.
Yeah, I agree. I've got to say, Matty, coming over to you, you mentioned him earlier, but to have that calmness, composure, assurance when you haven't been playing regularly in a North London derby, it's probably the most hardest game to come into and find a rhythm that well. And I've got to be honest with you and say to you, this is a player that might worry when we leave in Spurs in the summer. Yeah. If it is to be his final game in the Spurs shirt, potentially if he might have to play a crucial role between now to the end of the season. But what a way to bow out if that is his last appearance in the Spurs shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few things I want to take from that. First of all, like I said, incredible performance from Davinson Sanchez. I don't want to take the stats shine off Lee, but I feel like I need to do my employers proud and talk about a few of the stats. Sanchez had the most touches in the game, and he also played the most passes into the final third of any player in that game with 13. Also won 100% of his aerial duels. But he's obviously not having game time. But I think what this stat shows with Sanchez, Davinson Sanchez, the Sanchez who plays with Tottenham, having the most passes into the final third in a game of that magnitude is absolutely outrageous. And that shows that not only is that starting 11, which we've become so used to, like we all could have named that 11, aside from that little injury scare or injury kind of twist at the end. We all knew the best 11 that Conte wanted for that game. We all know they're the best 11 players of the football club. But what this shows is the development that's going on in the squad that we don't get to see very often. And it goes to show, I think with Sessegnon was talking about the attention to detail in Antonio Conte's training. And if someone like Davinson Sanchez, without getting in the first team, if his passing has improved this much, it's absolutely incredible. And it's testament to the work that Conte and Stellini and the rest of that coaching staff are doing. It's also testament to Davinson Sanchez, because it's easy when you're not being in that first team and when you're hearing these rumours that you could be leaving, it's easy to take your foot off the gas and think, well, they don't want me, I'll head off, whatever, it's fine. But he hasn't. He's kept his head down. He's worked very, very well. But even what you were saying there, Ricky, about this potentially being Sanchez's last game, or potentially he could have a crucial part to play and he could be off in the summer. It's that ruthlessness that has been missing in Tottenham in the transfer market for so long that I think is going to be absolutely crucial for us going through this summer, because you know we may miss out in the Champions League, like we were talking about. That's a big loss financially. We need money to invest where Conte wants players in the summer, and that could be through selling Ndombele, Lo Celso, Lucas, Bergwijn, Sanchez, whoever it is. But in the past, and we even saw it in January with Steven Bergwijn, we thought he was going to Ajax. He scored 2 goals against Leicester in what was an absolutely incredible night. But with that, Tottenham kept him. And I felt that they couldn't let him go because he had that performance. But what we're seeing with Sanchez, I think we will still see him go in the summer, is that 1 or 2 performances isn't good enough. 3 or 4 performances isn't good enough. You need to have the exact characteristics and the exact footballing traits that Antonio Conte wants in a footballer to get into this team and to be a consistent option for us. Sanchez doesn't quite fit that mold, despite the incredible performance tonight. I'd argue that Emerson Royal still doesn't fit that, despite the brilliant performances he's had in the last couple of weeks. And that's what I think can take Tottenham from the level we're at right now to that very next level where hopefully in the next couple of years we could be competing at the top of the league.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. Lee, I've got to bring you in on Sanchez. I know
Spot on, mate. Spot on.
It's not often we go to every panelist for a player's performance, but I mean, it's very hard not to with Sanchez, because I think coming into the team, Lee, I think, listen, me and you were probably entering the stadium at the same time. We saw that team lose break, and I think there might have been a real open concern, you know, seeing obviously the miss of Romero, but just how impressed was you with Sanchez on the night? You know, it's almost like he transformed into a player that we hoped he would be when we originally signed him, of course, from Ajax.
Well, I think 2 things. Firstly, Matty, absolutely spot on. I agree with everything you just said, and don't take over the blue pick too much, please. On the stats, look. I mean, them stats are outrageous. 13 passes into the final third. That is just ridiculous. And the second point, and the most serious point, is this is what competition for places does. Like, you know, at the end of the day, Romero is. He's absolutely spot. He's in the team sheet. He's on the team sheet every game, isn't he? And as soon as he's not, Sanchez comes in, steps up and says, okay, I can do the business. I've been waiting in the wings. This is my chance. And it should be like that. And instead of it being, oh, I don't play, I'm not going to be good enough when I come on, it should be, I'm ready, I'm in. That's professional football. That is what squads do. That's what team members do. And Sanchez, again, like Darren took his hat off earlier, I'm taking my hat off with him. Absolutely superb performance tonight. And he showed everybody that he is capable. Look, I take you back to that time when Alderweireld was injured. I think it was because I've got the Wanyama shirt on, by the way. Look, I'm showing everyone again. I've got the Wanyama shirt on, what I call the Wanyama shirt. This is the 16-17 season, isn't it? Right, last season at Lane that Matty referenced earlier. And, you know, when Jan Vertonghen, Toby Alderweireld was out, and Jan Vertonghen was on the left and Davinson was on the right, he was outstanding. He was such a good player. So we know that he's got it in him. I think that confidence in most walks of life, you know, whatever you do, is a huge thing. You know, whether or not you're a driver or, you know, you're professional sports person, if you're an office worker, whatever it might be. And Davinson tonight will be walking off that pitch going, boom, I have smashed it. And he knows it. He let's be honest, viewers, listeners, he knows it. And that is fantastic. So if Romero is back for next game, happy days. Well done, Sanchez. And if he's not, Sanchez will slot in there and do an amazing job against Burnley. I've got no doubt. And that has got to be good for the club, isn't it?
Totally agree. Yeah, I must also say, coming over to you, Darren, Eric Dyer. Oh, I tell you what, this season, I mean, Lee said to me at the beginning of the season that I would eat my words in Eric Dyer, and I feel like game by game, I'm losing the battleground with Lee on Eric Dyer because he has been absolutely remarkable. I've got to say, I feared tonight not having Romero next to him. Just how would that affect Dyer's performance? But I've got to be able to say to you tonight, he made some huge challenges during this game, and he defended well even before Arsenal had a man sent off, I thought. And then obviously subsequently after that, grew even further into the game. I mean, it's very hard for me now how Dyer would not even be looking at a call-up for England, in the summer. As much as I think I want to keep him here to make sure he's fit for next season, I think I wouldn't begrudge him that because he's deserved it over the course of the season. He has been absolutely remarkable. I mean, are you surprised at Hartman, Eric Dyer? Are you surprised by just how he has risen from ashes, if I've got to be honest with you? He's been amazing.
You know what? There is a bit of surprise in that, but then also that professionalism that he has, and also what Conte is able to do. Conte is showing what an amazing coach he is. And also Dyer is showing us that he is a great professional. And as Matt alluded to, what they're doing on the training field is showing week in, week out. The development, the growth, highlighting the problems that players had before that are now being driven out of their game because Conte will not allow it. Dyer was a player who made mistakes. He was someone who you worried about in possession sometimes. He wanted to be too flamboyant. There were times when he didn't look like he was fully switched on, or the passion would take over and he'd lose his head. And you looked at him today and there could have been the fear that would have kicked in knowing that Romero wasn't there. But you looked at Eric Dyer today and he was an absolute general. He did everything. He read the game. He had control of the game. He never looked flustered, never looked phased. And if we're going to go Dyer, I know we've got to go Davis. Like, what a player. Like, I've been singing his praises because I know he's not a left back anymore. But when you see him play for Wales, he is a left-sided centre-half. And he has done remarkably well. He deserved his moment today, and being taken off early, he deserved that round of applause. He deserved that clap. And I'm glad Conte gave that to him because he has earned that this season. He has been tremendous. And I think that has been one of the highlights of what Conte has been able to achieve in a short space of time. Because as Matt said there, and Lee, and I know we've said this before, there is a lot of players in that squad that they're on the shelf. They're to be sold. There is a price that is available that if someone meets that, they will be sold. And if you look at our back three right now, these players are going to have a lot of competition next season.
Great.
I'm expecting them to have to fight to get into this Tottenham team next season. And what if they're on the bench? If we have a team that has Eric Dyer on the bench, that's a great person to have on the bench for me. The level that we should be competing at should be at that level. It should be high intensity. Training should be fierce. The team should be competing in training as well as in every game. Because if we compete like we did today, no one's going to stand a chance. All right, the top two will always be the top two, but we can fight and we can compete.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And, sticking on Ben Davis, coming over to you, Matty, I will bring on Lee, of course, as well. But, Davis tonight, there was some real big, again, same as Romero, the crunching tackles. I'm doing a TJ Romini now, forgive me. The crunching tackles from Ben Davis this evening. And, I think those tackles really did set the environment, the tone of how Spurs started the game. And, I think, I'll be honest with you, I thought early on, I thought the yellow card was a little bit harsh, if I'm going to be honest with you. Bearing in mind it was the first challenge he made. And again, some referees, I can understand maybe why they would have given it. But I think in an North London derby, you've also got to realise, the environment, the pressure that's on these players. So I thought that was a little harsh. And I think to be able to cope with the pressure of a yellow card, but still, even then, be able to mop up everything that came out of his way, I think, like Darren said, he absolutely deserved coming off and having that wonderful ovation from the crowd because he has been sensational this season, hasn't he, really?
He has, and the very fact that we didn't get a player in that position over the summer or in January, and it hasn't really mattered too much. I think is the best praise that you can give to Ben Davies, because that was the area of our team that was the weakest. And again, similar to what I was saying with having that rootlessness, it's an area that we're probably prioritising this summer to try and bring in a left-sided centre-back. But Ben Davies has stepped in there and been absolutely immense. You know, he has the experience of playing left-back for Swansea and for Spurs, so he's able to play in that Conte role, which is such a niche role. The only the only familiar or similar role I can see in Premier League is when Chris Weiler had his overlapping fullbacks. Wide centre backs for Spurs are very, very different to wide centre backs for most teams, and Davies has had the safety of Dyer and sometimes Romero behind him when he's going forward. But on the flip side, when it's been Romero going forward, Dyer and Davies together have been an incredible kind of solid backline for Tottenham to defend with. And 6, 12, 18 months ago, we never thought we'd be saying that. But Ben Davies against Liverpool on Saturday deservedly got man of the match. And again, tonight was absolutely incredible. We never associate those crunching tackles with Ben Davies. We never associate winning aerial battles in the box. We don't associate him getting forward, creating chances and scoring like he did a couple of months ago. It's a new side of him. And again, incredible management from Antonio Conte to be able to turn these players into that. For me, Davies, again, incredible season. He probably does need to be improved on in the summer. But the way I'm looking at this is, if you can get a player like Ben Davies and have Antonio Conte turn him into the centre-back that he's become, imagine Conte handpicking a centre-back and putting him in that position. And then the level that he can get to. I remember I did an article for the Opta Analyst a few months ago, and I was talking about the kind of change in the defence between under Nuno Espirito Santo and under Antonio Conte. And players like Sanchez, Davies, Dyer, even Romero, their pressures, their progressive passes, their progressive dribbling had all doubled under Antonio Conte. And again, bringing players from the level they were at to where they are now, if you get a Bastoni, if you get a Vardiol, if you get someone in that position, someone that Conte wants, we could have, I honestly think we could have a better defence than we had with Alderweireld and Vertonghen if Conte's allowed to handpick those players. I think Dyer and Romero are perfect. Conte himself has said Dyer could be the best centre-back in the world under him. We get a better left centre-back. Again, no criticism to Davies. Absolutely love him. He's had an incredible season, and he with how long he's been at Spurs, I think he can go down as one of our best defenders in the Premier League era if he continues on the trajectory he's at the moment. But thanks a million for that, Adrian. I appreciate it. But yeah, Davies, incredible. That block against Salah at Liverpool, one of my favourite moments of the season. I celebrated it like a goal. I'm not going to lie.
I've got to agree with Matty. Every word you're saying there, nodding. I can see Lee McQueen also nodding as well. Lee, I've got to bring you in on Ben Davies because you've been saying all season just how impressed you've been by him. And again tonight, North London derby, Ben has been so steady, consistent all season. I'm sure Conte will find a place probably in the squad for him next season, bearing in mind just the contribution he's made. Lee, has it surprised you just Davies' consistency in such a big game for Tottenham? Again tonight, showing up and making, again, a massive difference to that defence in terms of the togetherness, the unity, the consolidation from Tottenham overall.
I'm just not surprised. I mean, Ben Davies is like our James Milner. You know, that for me is, you know, he's consistently consistent. You know, he's you know, you call him Gentle Ben or whatever. What did he get tonight, Rick? You ain't giving him a 6 out of 10, are you?
Listen, that's an 8 or a 9, isn't it, really?
Yeah,
that's
exactly,
an 8 or a 9 performance.
Another 8 or a 9. You know,
turn that 6 upside down, as Jason McGovern would say.
Exactly. He got a 9 the other night as well. Like, you know, even when Danny Rose went through under Pochettino, we had Rose on the left, Walker on the right, and then we had the backups of Trippier and Ben Davies as left and right back respectively. And Rose was out, I think, for about 4 months in one of the seasons. I think it might have been the 17-18 season, or it might have even been the 16-17 season. And Davies was outstanding. And then when you put their 2 games, I think it was 150 games each. I did a comparison on them. Davies had better stats than Danny Rose over 150 games, and that was at left back. And he's dropped in at left centre back, and rightly so, Matt. Everything you just said is literally spot on. But he's dropped in to a left centre back role, and he's hardly put a foot wrong. Now, in our 16-17 season, this is off the top of my head, no blue books. You have to forgive me. I think we conceded 26 goals that season. We're the best defence in the league, right? We've scored. We've defended. This is with a change of manager and Nuno and everything that's gone on. I think we've conceded 41 goals this season. So that's actually only 14, and that's quite a lot, but 14, 15 goals extra. And that is with Ben Davies and Eric Dyer in a back three with Romero. Now, if you'd have said that at the beginning of the season, literally, you'd have been laughing at me. And I think we've got the 4th best defence in the league today. I think it's that. And that's an outstanding return. What Antonio Conte, again, just everything that Matty just said, what Antonio Conte has done with these players is just remarkable. But Ben Davies hasn't really put a foot wrong. You go and get a Bastoni in that position. My goodness.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think, I don't think the left centre back is a major problem. I would rather look at the wing backs for next season. If we had to make a choice, and Levy will probably make us make a choice, we ain't going to get everything, are we? Let's be honest. We're never going to get all them presents under the Christmas tree. So he's going to make us make a decision between, certain players. But I think Ben Davies stays and he plays, and I wouldn't be worried about that. If Ben Davies starts as our first choice left centre back next season, I'll be all right with that.
I think we've just got to trust Conte, haven't we? I mean, as we've seen so far, he seems to know what the right players are, the right fit is, and credit to Antonio Conte, because I think a lot of us may have thought Davies' time at the club was up. And then you look at that performance tonight, I've got to say, it's going to take some beating. Obviously, Joe Rodon coming on, replacing Dyer this evening. He actually came on for his first Premier League minutes under Antonio Conte, although he had to wait quite a while to do come on. But again, I've got to say,
Davis. I thought we replaced Davis, didn't he?
Yeah, replaced Davis, Joe Rodon. So again, good to see him come on the field, and nice to see him get a couple of minutes. But one man again tonight, who I've got to be honest and say to you, I think he's slowly turning the tide, and I think we're now demanding to drop another comp on him, and that's Emerson Royale.
Where's his comp? I demand his comp.
You know what's funny? When his Twitter representative put it out, we were all laughing and joking. That is a serious note. Forget Conte, Cam. We want Emerson, Cam. Give us the Emerson, Cam. But again, tonight, Joe, I've got to say to you, coming over to you, Darren, to start off, he defended really well, and actually, at times tonight, got himself in really good positions. We spoke earlier about the fact that he nearly found himself scoring for Tottenham at 4-0 if it hadn't been for a wonderful save from Ramsdale, to be honest with you. But again, Emerson Royale, I think what we're seeing now is that, this guy has always been able to defend. There's been a question mark of him in terms of going forward. But is it a second coming now, Darren? Should we get carried away back-to-back performances like that against Liverpool and then Arsenal?
The thing about Emerson Royale is he was brought as a right back, and he's very young. He's a young boy, and now he's been asked to play a very different position and a very different system. And he's not the best there. We can all honestly say that he's not the best there. But the thing that is being globally said right now is Conte is getting the best out of these players. And he has shown that he can get something out of Emerson Royale. He's shown improvements in his game. And also, we can see that Emerson Royale's enjoying his game. And I think that's a beautiful thing to watch. Someone enjoying their work. Like when he got that header that came, beautiful ball by Kane, and he had the chance, and he was a great header, just didn't quite get it in the corner enough. You saw him going like, go again. And he was making that run again. He was back in the box. Next attack, he was there again. And I think the confidence that is being pushed through his veins with Conte, look how close Conte is on the pitch when he's on that side. He's literally in his ear. Like he's guiding him through every moment of that game. It's beautiful to see. And I'm glad that he's playing well. I'm glad that we're seeing that. However, I think Matt made a point about the transfers and what Spurs need to do. And this is something that I've said before about we can't be sentimental Spurs. We can't go, oh, he's playing all right now. Let's look after him and keep him. Maybe he'll be... No. If there's better available, we shift him out and we get better in. We can't be sentimental. We can't hug everybody, because if we do that, we're going to have a squad that isn't going to allow us to get the potential that we need to get. So as much as I'm really happy for him right now, next season, unless he's got competition, I want to see someone above him, because I don't really want Emerson to be the guy. But Emerson, I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud. I'm proud.
I've got to say, do you know what? At one point, Matty, come over to you. This is how fearless Emerson was tonight. He even picked up the flare at one point, Matty. Could you believe that? The guy's absolutely fearless.
Do you know what? It's absolutely mad. And for anyone who watches my channel, they know my screensaver on my phone is always very very kind of like reflective of what's going on at Tottenham at the moment. And I can show you, it's Emerson holding the flare. It's not loaded in properly. It's Emerson holding that flare. It's a brilliant picture, by the way. If anyone wants it, message me. You can have it for the screensaver. He was absolutely incredible against Liverpool, and it kind of felt like a one-off. It just felt like one of those moments we look back in the summer, we're like, oh, remember when he was good against Liverpool? He did it again tonight. He was fantastic. And the weirdest thing for me is these two games has probably been the toughest defensive tasks he's had against Luis Diaz and against Gabriel Martinelli. They're two games where I really, really fear for having Emerson at right back, especially with the not having Romero to cover today. But in possession, his game has massively improved. And I agree with what you were saying, that he was brought in as a right back and he's been asked to play that different role. And people have been making the point all along, he's young, he's coming into a new league, into a new country, he's a language to learn, he's playing a new system. I think we're starting to see him settling in. And we're starting to see him get used to Antonio Conte. And someone put it on Twitter, I thought it was a really, really good analysis, that he's better stepping inside in possession. And there was a few moments in that game against Liverpool where he took the ball past one man and then past two men, and he was kind of more forced into the middle rather than like actually trying to bring it in there. But when he's in there, he seems so comfortable when he has the option of, you know, a safe ball back to Ben Davis, a switch to Son, a ball into the middle to Bentancur. When he has options, he seems to make the right option, or the right decision. And that's exactly what you want in a player like that. You know, he's never going to be the man to get 10, 15 assists. He's not going to be our Trent, but he's someone who can be effective and who can help progress that ball up the pitch. And that's all we want when we have the players that we do up in the front line. You know, we don't need massive goal contributions from everywhere in the pitch. We just need them to get the ball to these players in good positions. And Emerson, I think, has been doing that very, very well in the last couple of games. And shout out as well on the opposite side to Ryan Sessegnon, who I thought was absolutely incredible today. In that first 10, 15 minutes, when we were kind of struggling, we were under the cosh a little bit, I actually noticed myself shouting, "Get in, Sessegnon," or "Come on, Sessegnon," more than anyone else. You know, he's putting in good challenges, but in a Conte system, wing backs are crucial. And the last two games, 10 out of 10 performances from the two of them.
Totally agree. Go on, Lee, over to you.
Mate, he says just on Sess. I mean, you mentioned Sessegnon. Yeah, I thought he had Salah in his pocket again the other day. So he's played Salah twice and had him in his pocket twice. I think he was excellent again tonight. I've just seen a tweet from Ali Gold, friend of the show. It said that it was a record attendance tonight as well, 62,000 and 27 people tonight. That is fantastic. That atmosphere, my voice is shot to pieces now, people, but it was literally the best atmosphere. Definitely that new stadium. I mean, I'm trying to go back. I mean, we've been to a lot of football matches between all of us and all the listeners and viewers and whatever. Been to lots and lots of football matches, and that you know, the Kane goal when he scored the mask in the mask and whatever. It ended up being a 2-2, but this tonight was special. It was absolutely brilliant. So hats off to everyone. The thing is, just a quick rallying cry. We've got a real tough game on Sunday because it is a shocker at 12 o'clock on a Sunday.
We're going to need those fans, aren't we, Lee? We're going to need all the fans again. We're going to need those fans.
And we're going to need the fans, mate. We are going to need them in the stadium. Don't think to yourself, oh, you know, I might not go, get on the exchange. Get yourself down there because there's only 2 games left. Boys and girls, let's go. Let's make it happen because we really do need it. And I think that if the atmosphere is like that for the last home game as well, don't forget it's the last home game as well. So get to say thank you to all the players. I think we win that game, but it's a big game, isn't it, people? It's
massive game. We are going to come on to Burnley shortly. Don't worry. We are going to try and squeeze it in. We know it's been a night where we're just trying to go through. It's hard on a night like this to not reflect on so many of those players' performances because a night like this, Spurs beating Arsenal 3-0, the manner we've done it, in the pressure that we're under, it's very hard to not give the players an individual shout out because of how they've played. And Lee brought him up slightly there, so did Matty. Matty will come back round to you. Ryan Sessegnon, I mean, we've now got to take into account that he's played 2 consecutive, I think, formidable displays against 2 really difficult, tricky opponents in Mohamed Salah and now Bukayo Saka. And he's stepped up really when, you know, many questioned could he. And I think, you know, he's showing now there's been that little bit of a doubt over Reguilon. And I've been really doubtful of Reguilon. I've always felt, you know, Sessegnon out of the 2, I think it's got the more potential. And I think Conte seems to feel that way as well. Sessegnon, do you think now he is Spurs' left wing back moving forward? What do you think about Sess?
I do. I think Sess has in the last month or 2 made himself the number 1 choice. And I'll be honest, I always thought Reguilon was the better option. I thought under Jose Mourinho, he was being played in too defensive of a system and it just didn't suit him. And kind of when he got an attacking manager, he'd be fine. He hasn't stepped up under Antonio Conte. And the injury, of course, a big blow. But Sessegnon, I think off the pitch, Sessegnon is an absolute icon. He is an absolute legend in the stuff that he's come out and said in the last couple of weeks, what he's been through. You don't see people say that. You don't see a lot of footballers say that. But I think he's kind of had a weight lifted off him by coming out and saying that and getting it off his chest. And you're always going to feel a pressure as a footballer. But when you're a player like Ryan Sessegnon, who was an absolute phenomenon at the age of, what was it, 17. He was playing left back, left wing, right wing for Fulham in the Premier League. He got them promoted from the Championship. Making that step up to Spurs, it's a very, very difficult move. And I think that loan to Hoffenheim did him very well. First of all, because he got to play in a left wing back position, which he wouldn't have got to play at Spurs, but also having that ability to kind of get out of England for a while, because there's so much pressure on young English players. There's so much put on their shoulders. But to get away from that and to actually have time to work on himself and develop that game has come back. He's come back and it's been absolutely incredible. He's had more injury setbacks, but when he's on the pitch, he does everything perfectly. And again, for him, as I said with Emerson, it's been two of the biggest defensive challenges for him this season, up against Mohamed Salah and Bukayo Saka. He's not looked out of place at all. He's looked as though he's been in that team for years. He looks like he's one of the best left backs. Of course, he's not, but in those two performances, he's looking incredible. So assured, so confident, and getting forward. I thought he lacked a little bit against Liverpool. I think there was a few times where he could have maybe put those balls into the box a little bit better, but he still got an assist. Like Peter mentions there, his game is improving week by week, and there's no man on this planet that I'd rather be the one mentoring Ryan Sessegnon than Antonio Conte. And I think we're going to look back in 5-10 years and look at, what was it, 20 million for Sessegnon as an absolute steal.
Yeah, I do agree. Hartman, come over to you. We are, I know I'm conscious of time. I know, feel free to give us some love for Cess, but also Højbjerg tonight, who I'm going to bring on to Lee as well. He won some absolutely massive tackles in that midfield, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. And he's one of those players that this season, I think, since the introduction of Bentancur, his level has gone back up to where it was when he first joined the club. And there was lots of people asking, questioning, is Højbjerg good enough? You watch that performance tonight in a North London derby where Spurs have to win, and you tell me if there's still not a player in there, because he was absolutely phenomenal for me, Pierre Højbjerg. And if we can't find a squad role for him based on the performances since Bentancur's come in, then, well, I've got to be honest and say to you, surely he's got to have a place in the squad, hasn't he, Hartman? Højbjerg on the back of that kind of performance?
He does. He does have a place in the squad for me. And I think what you find with him and Bentancur is you find that Bentancur's a natural leader. He's an absolute leader on the football pitch, and we needed that. We needed someone in the midfield. And if just watching Bentancur's movement around Højbjerg is amazing, because Bentancur always provides an outball for him. He's always in and around him. He makes lovely movements around the pitch. He's so graceful to watch. And Højbjerg thrives off that because he's a cruncher. He likes to disrupt play. But when he's got the ball, he likes to find a pass. And Bentancur's always available, and it's giving him confidence. And I think that has allowed Højbjerg to look like the player that he is, the player that he should be. When he played for Denmark, he's got tricks as well. He's a man who likes a little turn, and he likes to drop a shoulder. And I think Bentancur being beside him is elevating his game. And I think the Ryan Sessegnon thing, I think out of the two, Reguilón and Sessegnon, I agree that Sessegnon is the guy that potentially could hold on to that position or grow into that, because he naturally plays there. And I think what he got from being out in Germany, which he said in an interview recently, was he thrives on one-to-ones. He likes defending one-to-one, and you saw that in these last two games. He's not feared Salah. He's not feared Saka. He's been happy to go up against them, and I think that's great. And I think with Reguilón, when he gets forward, he has a bit of a nosebleed. He doesn't really know what to do in the box, and the panic stations kick in, and it all gets a bit wild. And I think what we're starting to see at Tottenham is we're starting to really narrow down the characteristics that we need. We're starting to narrow down on who is really getting it in that squad, who's really understanding where we need to go. And I think it's great to see Højbjerg looking like the man, looking like a leader in that middle of the park. And yes, let's be real, Arsenal's centre midfield pairing isn't great. If he couldn't boss them, we'd have had a problem. And he absolutely did boss them today. And him and Bentancur look great in there. And they're going to be bigger challenges ahead. So I hope that if we can bring someone else in there as well, just to keep them looking over their shoulders. If the performance dip, there's someone else to come in. And that's what I want Spurs to have now, is that level that we don't ever dip below, because we can't afford it. We can't afford to dip below it because we're too good for that now. Come on, boys.
I agree. Lee, coming over to you, mate. I've got to say, Lee, there's so much love pouring in for you in here. I tell you, there's so much love for all of you guys. Honestly, I can't say it for all of you tonight. It's been remarkable. I've got to say, listen, still, I think over 1,000 of you watching us live across all of our platforms. We're nearly 12 o'clock in the evening. We're nearly midnight here, so thank you so much. Incredible support. These guys have been amazing tonight. The wonderful Matty Hayes, got a brilliant Darren Hartman, the Hartman, and Lee McQueen. I'll tell you what, rolling us into going past midnight. Conscious time, guys.
Ricky.
Go on, Darren.
Before we get to midnight, we've got to celebrate someone's birthday. Frankie Major. We've got to wish him happy birthday from all of us. I must. Frankie Major. A massive birthday to Frankie Major. I know somewhere we'll be checking this out tomorrow morning. Frankie, lovely to see you earlier, mate.
wishing you he's had an amazing time. I tell you, Frankie's on the town somewhere. I don't know which town he's in, but he's enjoying it somewhere far beyond the walls.
He's in Beavertown. He's in Beavertown corner pin when I left him in there with crackers and Anthony Costa. I'm telling you, true story. I left him in there when we came out.
Credit to Lee, because Lee walked away. That's the professionalism of the man. That my co-host walking away at the right time. The wonderful Lee McQueen. Lee, Bentancur tonight. You feel free to bring in Højbjerg as well on this, because I thought Bentancur back to his best tonight. You know, he leapt ever so high and well, of course, for that great header for the assist for Kane from Son's corner. He battled so hard in the middle of the park from Spurs, alongside, of course, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and was, solid overall. This partnership lead, this midfield duo seems to really work. We've got Skip to complement it as well next season. And, Pape Matar also on the way. Lee, suddenly, it's really positive, isn't it, that midfield now, what we've got to offer?
Yeah, I mean, I love Ricky Bentancur. I do, Rick. I'm surprised you got back in time after the game, to be fair, after that performance. But look, it was very, very good. On the Højbjerg thing, I just don't understand where the criticism comes from. And I'm going to stick to my guns and stick to my words, because people are so fickle. Like some people on the panel, some people in the comments, whatever, about Højbjerg. And even though everyone's just praised him, there's still a but there, isn't there? You still couldn't say he's a starter. You still had to say squad. This guy has been absolutely fantastic against Liverpool, against City, against Arsenal today. This guy deserves, it's just my opinion, so that's why I'm on here. You like my opinions. This guy deserves to be in the first team. It is his shirt, and someone's got to take it off him. Now, if somebody takes it off him, happy days, because that's competition for places. But he's not just a squad player, Højbjerg. He is a starter. Tonight was absolutely outstanding. He was my man of the match. I thought he was brilliant. And again against Liverpool, against City, this guy never seems to me that he never fails to turn up. So that's Højbjerg. Bentancur, I agree with you, Rick. I think you said it earlier. Since Bentancur's come in, Højbjerg's been absolutely outstanding. And I think the two of them complement each other. Definitely you need to strengthen the depth of the squad around them areas in the summer. Obviously, you just mentioned about Skippy. I mean, Skip hasn't played. I don't think Skip's played this year, has he? This calendar year?
No.
Which is incredible, because he was such a good player for us. So we've had some injuries in some key places. I didn't think I've ever said this about Doherty, but we've missed Doherty since he's been injured, and therefore we've had some issues around some key injuries. But I thought Højbjerg was excellent. I thought Bentancur was, like you say, back to his best. I thought Bentancur against Liverpool gave the ball away a few times, and I felt that sometimes Bentancur, he does give the ball away a few times, but most of the time he recovers it, but he does give it away.
Yeah.
But I thought tonight he was excellent.
Yeah, no, I do agree, totally agree. Push for time. Kulusevski, a couple of nice flashy moments from him. I think it was probably overall maybe more of a quieter night for him. But I mean, we're lucky again. We'll probably bring it on to the main guys that really stepped out for Tottenham, as we mentioned. Mora came on. I think tonight was his, I must add, Spurs official just put it out there. I think it was his 200th, forgive me, I think I might be wrong, 200th appearance for the football club coming on. I will double check that now, because, again, a player that has contributed a lot to the football club. Yet 200 appearances for Lucas Moura. Again, listen, squad player, loves the football club, came on in those last 20, didn't really add much to the game, if we've been honest overall. Bergwijn as well, come on. Didn't really offer much on the night. I think by then it was pretty much a dead rubber. It's nice saying that against Arsenal when you're 3-0 up, dead rubber, 20 minutes to go. You've got to say that. It's lovely saying that. You don't really mind when it's 3-0 dead rubber. Yeah, dead rubber, isn't it? We've got to say that every season. But Harry Kane, just to summarise, Harry Kane, Sonny, to kind of come to a close before we bring it over to Burnley. Matty, Kane, like we said earlier, I mean, he's kind of proven, again, tonight, just what a world-class striker he is. Took the penalty so well. Again, diving header to add to it. And then, again, you've got to say it was his run in the opening minutes of that second half that, brought the ball to Son to finish as well. I mean, Kane linking up with all the 3 goals, scoring 2, maybe an assist for 1 if we're trying to be kind of Gary Neville trying to give it to him as well. Kane overall, King Kane on the night for you, Matty?
100%, and this is just what we come to expect from Kane in North London derbies. And I think we've all sat here time and time again, kind of lauding what he does on the pitch. I want to go a little bit left field with this, and we spoke about the midfield battle there, which is extremely important. And in Tottenham's worst performances recently, it's been the midfield battle where we've lost the games. Looking at Manchester United at Old Trafford, Brighton at home a couple of weeks ago, but I think Kane and Son won that game for us before we ever got on the football pitch. And what I mean by that is people talk about the balance in that Arsenal squad, and they talk about how Tottenham have two world-class players in Kane and Son, which Arsenal are lacking, but they talk about them having a better squad. I think we saw tonight that doesn't matter, because clearly before this game, Arteta had identified two things that he needed to stop. He put Holding on Son, which ended up in Holding getting sent off, and he had El Neni in front of Harry Kane, which allowed Tottenham to win that midfield battle. And it's that fear of when you're playing a player like Harry Kane in that position that he plays, they had to sacrifice one of those players to go and watch that line. Odegaard then had to sit back in beside Xhaka to make up that two in midfield, and he doesn't like playing that game. And that, even just Kane's presence, allowed us to control that game from deeper areas first. But then, as always, once Kane gets the ball, he's absolutely incredible. He picked out some brilliant passes. I mean, that cross in for Emerson with that header was absolutely sublime. There aren't many strikers in world football, if any, that can do that. And that, for me, is what puts Kane a level above the likes of Benzema, the likes of Robert Lewandowski. And again, we're going to see it for at least another year, and that's absolutely beautiful to me.
I totally agree. Hartman, I come over to you. Sonny, I've got to be honest and say a night where he could have easily got wound up in those first couple of minutes. Credit to his teammates for me, the way they controlled him to not allow himself to be drawn into that situation, because we saw later on just really the difference he made, getting that third goal, such as I kept on saying tonight, it was a real cheeky finish from Son. I keep using the word sumptuous, Son, because it was an absolutely gorgeous finish. And do you know what was great for Son? This is what I love about him. He seems so unhappy to come off, Darren, and that's what you describe as a winner, right? A player that wants to be out on that field for 90 plus minutes. He wants to get that golden boot. He's one goal behind Mohamed Salah now. No penalties, as I said earlier. He really wants it. And do you know what? I've got to say, Sonny deserves it for me. I think, these guys, what they've done to Spurs, when Conte came in, Spurs were 9th in the Premier League. Didn't even look like we were even going to get near Europe, let alone in the top 4. Weren't even getting a shot on target. Son has been absolutely pivotal and crucial to Spurs' push now, isn't he, for the top 4?
100%. These two players, Son and Kane, phenomenal individuals, super athletes, wonderful professionals, and they are a threat to anybody. Any side in world football will see those two on a team sheet and they have a problem. And I think it's a beautiful, privileged position for Spurs to be in. And as fans, we have we get the joy and the pleasure of watching these two masters of their craft, because that's what they both are. And seeing Son come off raging, us winning in a London derby, him raging, and that's what you want, that passion. He could have come off and gone, job's done, but he's like, you know what, I can still give more. I still want to give this team more. And even if that's for a personal goal, that still helps feed us. Him wanting that still helps us. And I think where we are at with our front two and front three now, because Kulusevski allows these two to look even better, because he's an outball. He's great on the turn. He's imaginative as well. He's looking for a different pass. And they're starting to find that wavelength between the three of them. And there are really exciting times ahead. And I think today was another showcase of the wonder of Son and Kane and the wonder of Spurs, and how if it all gels right, because there are elements that we're looking at, wow, we're in for a treat. We are really in for a treat.
I totally agree. I must do. Lee, I'm going to just quickly give you the chance to close it on Kane and Son, because they're the guys that will rightly probably maybe steal a lot of their headlines for the performances, their goals. Lee, Kane and Son for you before we quickly do 5 on Burnley.
Big shout out to Martin Keown. Absolutely outstanding when he picks no Kane or no Son in his Arsenal combined Tottenham 11. Absolute deluded. And tonight obviously goes to show that. I mean, I'd love to talk about Kane and Son the whole time, because I've lost for words with them. But honestly, there's nothing you say. They're just, honestly, I love them both so much, and I hope that assist goes down for Kane, because that'll be another one to notch up with a Kane and Son. But absolutely phenomenal, both of them. And do you know what surprises me the most about it all is that we don't have another striker. Like, I don't like calling it a backup striker. You know my views on that, and everyone listening to the show regularly knows my views on the calling it a backup striker. But we don't have one. But we haven't signed another striker since Lorente. Chris Callan, friend of the show, one of our own. It tell you that it's what I think it was 2017 maybe that we signed Lorente. It's like 5 years that we actually signed another striker. And do you know what surprises me the most? With Bergwijn, with Lucas coming on, whatever, 3-0 up. Kane plays every minute of every game, every time. No one ever takes him off, ever. He just doesn't come off the pitch. It doesn't matter what manager it is. Pochettino, whether it's Nuno, whether it's Jose, whether it's Antonio Conte now, he just stays on the pitch the whole time. It's incredible. You're just talking about Son coming off and being like, I don't want to come off. Kane just never comes off. It's just mental.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I really, really do. Right, just to close this segment, we must say, as Lee said earlier, new Tottenham Hotspur record attendance tonight, which, proud to be a part of. I'm sure Lee was too. 62,027 in that stadium. The entire stadium, at the end, I've got to say, stand to sing. They stood to sing Antonio Conte's name, and I've got to say to you, he turned. I don't know if you saw this on Sky at all. I think Sky did show this. I mean, he applauded every single corner of the stadium. There is just something about Conte and Tottenham right now that there is this bond. There is this bond. I tell you what, there isn't it? You can feel it. You can feel it.
Mate, we were there, and I tell you what, when you were walking out of the stadium, we wanted to get out.
Or running out.
Yeah.
I was shooting out.
Exactly, trying to get out for the show. But we had to turn back and go back in because the Arsenal get battered everywhere they go song was just relentless. I got a video, check it out at Lee McQueen on Twitter. And everyone that took part in that, in the long bar, the concourse, it was just amazing. The atmosphere in that stadium tonight. Yeah. And Conte, whenever I'll just share something with you. Whenever we sing the Conte song, I get hairs in the back of my neck.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's unbelievable.
I absolutely love the bloke. I love him.
Yeah,
I absolutely love him. And something is changing. Well, it's changing. It is starting to change and changing. And long may it continue, because I thought it was amazing. We've got to get up for it like that on 12 o'clock on Burnley, because we have to do it again. It's our job. It's our job to do that. And it's a damn sight more enjoyable when it's like that than when it's flat and everyone's moaning.
Amen. Amen. Well, that is where we're going to go next. We will go for our final break of the show for our listeners on audio. Taking into this break, you're going to hear from the guys from the No Nay Never podcast and the Turfcast podcast, giving us their thoughts ahead of Burnley to come. And that's where we're going to next. I must just say, guys, that we are past midnight. There's still nearly 1,000 of you watching us live. The support, the love, last word on Spurs.
How many likes you got? How many likes you got?
I can't see that, Lee. I can't see that. You can encourage more. Encourage more.
416 likes, Lee.
416.
Come on, Matty. What is going on? 1,000 likes. Come on, people. You're watching now. Just press the like button.
Listen to McQueen. Listen to McQueen. We've had the wonderful Matty Hayes, the brilliant Darren Hartman, Lee McQueen talking us through the last nearly 2 hours of Last Word on Spurs. Right, everyone's going to be buzzing. They're going to be coming off this. They're going to be watching the highlights. They're going to check out AFTV. Sorry, Robbie. Sorry, mate. We will be checking out a little bit of AFTV. We can't help it, mate. We will be. And we'll be going back to watch the extended highlights. I'm probably getting back up at 7 a.m. And for us that have work, well, I tell you what, I think everyone can afford us a little bit of, bit of time. Right, Burnley to come. Oh, right, it's that dreaded, sorry guys, it is that dreaded kickoff time that everybody hates as a Spurs fan. It is that midday kickoff, and you can already hear the groans, the moans. Oh, God. Yeah, it is that time. I know Jason McGovern right now, he's watching somewhere, and when I told him the midday kickoff, he's sank to his seat. But we'll start with you, Darren, because Burnley at the moment, they find themselves 17th in the Premier League, I think I'm right in saying, and just above Leeds United on goal difference as things stand. So, listen, they are fighting and scrapping for their lives. I know many have said that the game itself is going to be really, really a test of Tottenham's character again, because the time of the kickoff, the fact Burnley are fighting and pushing for survival. How do you feel going into this one, Darren?
I'm very confident. I'm going to tell you why. Burnley, Sean Dyche, Burnley would have come with a game plan to sit back off Tottenham and try and nick the point off us. This new Burnley are going to come out to win the game. They're going to come out to really go for it. In doing that, they play into our hands. They're going to be open to allow us to play. I'm talking 3-1 potentially at the weekend. Like I'm going strong on this. I'm very comfortable. I'm very confident. I believe in us. We're doing this. We're going to have 2 solid wins, and we're going to have a massive 12th man in that stadium. I know the fans are not going to let me down. I may even make my way to Beartown. I may be there, and let's just go for it. Because listen. Let's just do it. Let's do it. Let's go crazy, because this is the energy that we have right now. I'm not going to let it slide, and I don't think Conte's going to, and I don't think the boys are going to. I think Son's going to get 2. I think he's going to get 2 because the energy that he came off the pitch with, he now knows you've been safe for that Burnley game. Go crazy. Get that 3-1 Spurs. Come on.
Oh, I agree. No, I completely agree with you. Matty, coming over to you. How do you think Spurs will approach this? It is, of course, I must say, it's our final home game of the season. So I think, there'll be real jubilant scenes in the crowd by the fact that everyone will still be bouncing after that Arsenal result, Matty. And also on top of that, when you think about it for Spurs, there is that opportunity to go into 4th place before obviously Arsenal go to subsequently play. So a real opportunity to really put the pressure on Arsenal before they've got a Monday night game against Newcastle, which is going to be under the lights at obviously St James's Park, their final home game of the season. They're going to want to win it because Newcastle's a club, they're going to be looking to push on for the summer. Players are going to get everything because they want to stay there, right? So how do you think Matty will approach the game against Burnley this coming Sunday?
I think we go out there and we score as many goals as we possibly can. And it won't be as easy as that, but I think that'll be the game plan going into it. Like I mentioned earlier, that feeling that's reminiscent to that season 5 years ago where we just went out and just had fun in the last couple of games of the season. Harry Kane's going to want to get this season to a good finish. Son's fighting for that golden boot. And we have a good record against Burnley at home in the last couple of years. It was 4-0 last season, 5-0 the season before. And some banging goals as well. We had that Son Puskas goal with the Kane from 30 yards where he had no pass on. So he's like, I'll just score instead. And I think, like Darren said there, Burnley aren't going to play that very pragmatic park the bus like they do under Sean Dyche. They did really well under Mike Jackson. To be fair to them, what was it, 3 wins in a row?
Yeah, he's just won manager of the month, hasn't he, as well, which hopefully will be a curse, right? Fingers crossed.
There we go. That's it. That's Burnley relegation confirmed. But yeah, I think with the momentum we have from today, I think that atmosphere is going to carry into the game against Burnley. It won't be anywhere near as good. We're not going to have the tifo and all that stuff, but that atmosphere is going to carry in. And like you mentioned, playing 24 hours or it'll be like 32 hours before Arsenal is going to be huge. And just that kind of mentality of getting into the top 4 with 1 game to go, I think that'll affect Arsenal as much as it could be a kind of added bonus for us, especially like I mentioned with Arsenal last home game for Newcastle. That crowd is going to be absolutely incredible. These Tottenham players know what we can potentially capitalize on, and they're not going to put a foot wrong, or I hope they're not going to put a foot wrong, and it's going to be important that we can get that 3 points. Look, I'd love for it to be a 5 or 6-0. If we go out and Burnley have 50 shots with 49 on target, we've no shots but get an own goal and win 1-0, I don't care. Once we go out and get those 3 points, but I think we will go and play very, very well in that one too.
I totally agree. Lee, coming over to you, I think in terms of injury doubts at the moment, and guys, please, it's obviously difficult. It's still, we was waiting for more team news. Obviously, that will probably come later in the week, but we understand Matty Vidra, Jay Rodriguez, they're both major doubts. Me, Westwood, Goodmanson, they remain in the recovery room for now. I know there's been a few murmurs around Burnley potentially having a few more injuries as well. So, yeah, I mean...
Tchaikovsky's out. I think Tchaikovsky's out as well.
I've heard some rumours about Tarkowski being out, which obviously would be a big blow for Burnley, a real key centre-back of theirs. How do you see it going, Lee?
Smash. Absolute smash. I mean, honestly, I think Raj said this...
Smash.
Yeah. I think Raj said this earlier in the comments. Like, I'm getting a neck ache from nodding when Matt's talking because literally I'm agreeing with everything he's saying. So literally brilliant, superb. Absolutely superb. Look, I think there's not much else to say. I totally agree. I don't think the atmosphere would be as good, but I think we'll be up for it. I think we have to put the pressure on Arsenal. Conte has now got us back into a position to be able to go ahead of them with a win against Burnley, and that is huge. For them to sit there and watch us win against Burnley and then that stew on them for 24 hours, then they've got to go up to Newcastle. And by the way, I can't get up there, but if there's any Spurs fans in Newcastle, we'll go and find out the Arsenal Hotel, go and set some fireworks off 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. Come on, I'm serious here, people. If you're out there, go and set some fireworks off.
Do what you need to do, obviously.
give them some lasagna, whatever you want to do, and make sure they do not get them 3 points. But look, I mean, all jokes aside, we've got to do the business against Burnley first, and I think we will. I absolutely think we will. I think that everything that we've got on that we've said about tonight and the boys. The only negative is that it's a 2.5 day, 3 day turnaround.
Yeah.
It's the third game in a week for us, and the 2 other games have been really, really high intensity on not necessarily physically, but on the brain. You know, I don't know whether anyone does this, but sometimes when I come home from work, been a board meeting or whatever, I've got brain ache. You know, you have brain ache. You know, and I just hope the boys can go again for 2 more games, because Leicester ripped Norwich a new one the other day, and Norwich they're on holiday. Don't worry about that. So Burnley will be the one. But I also think that, I know that you mentioned Rick earlier, I ain't got the stats in front of me, they're on the same points as Leeds. But let's be brutally honest about it. Leeds are absolutely...
Yeah, they're in free fall right now. They're in free fall.
They are a sack of bricks going down in the ocean, man. They are awful.
Agreed.
So, but I think Burnley will come, and like the Hartman said, to be fair, like under Dyche, they're the part of the bus almost, but they ain't going to part of the bus anymore. They're going to come and have a go. And Cornet's back, and Cornet?
Yeah.
I don't know. Cornet's
Let's
back.
Let's say we make him like a Cornet before the but after the game finishes, we'll take that.
He's a threat for them, isn't he? Up
top,
good
player. Very good player.
I think if they're missing the likes of Trzaskowski, Ben Mee, you know, they're missing them. That's the 2 major centre backs. Kane and Son, let's be honest, should have a field day.
Yeah, I agree. We have to close it with Antonio's comments, who says, we are saying lots of positive things, but on Sunday we need to do it again. The fans need to do it again, because they were amazing for us this evening. They scored 1 goal for us and we got the rest. Big words from Conte. He also said, in 6.5 months, we work step by step. I know the players much better. They understand me better and why I get angry. Like you remember against Burnley, they're improving much better, not only on the pitch, but mentally too. There's a big word from Conte, and like I said, he closes it there on Burnley, and that's obviously where we're going to close it as well on Burnley. It's been a wonderful last word on Spurs. I can't thank you enough, all of you, for your incredible support for the show, your love for the show, watching us live, wherever you are around the world. Thank you so much. But it can't be done without the people you see on your screen here, the guests that we've had on, obviously, throughout the season. But tonight, we've been blessed by some absolutely top people. Matty Hayes. Matt, you've been an absolute diamond. I know you're going to be running lots of different content throughout your channel during the summer. I know there'll be lots of transfer content. We hope, fingers crossed, on Spurs bringing some really, really good players to the football club. Matt, where can we find your wonderful channel? And please encourage us where we can subscribe.
Look, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Come on, Ricky. Really, really enjoy coming on here. It's an honour to be in such an esteemed company, so I really do appreciate it. I'm Matt Hayes Tottenham blog on YouTube, or Matt Hayes THFC as on Twitter below me. It's just transfers. I absolutely love it. We'll be going full blast this summer. I got the new PC, I got the new streaming set up. We're all ready to go. And hopefully, like you said, there will be. I'm thinking at least 6 signings this summer. I'm going to dream big. But all the best news on my channel. I'd really appreciate any support we can get over there.
Please do. Please go and give Matty a follow. He's honestly some wonderful content over there. He'll be keeping you going throughout the summer. Honestly, been brilliant. Matty, I think like everyone said, we've been nodding so much tonight. We're all going to need to lay down before we go and check out the highlights. And then we're going to watch AFCV for a little bit. Then we're going to go back to the extended highlights. Then we are going to try to get an hour. I'm joking. We're not going to get an hour. We're going back to the highlights. You've been incredible. Darren, mate, honestly, you've been great. Love having you on this season. We know you're currently in, and I've got to pronounce this right. Is it Chivalry on Channel 4 with Stephen Coogan. And
yes,
I know, listen, brilliant having you on there. Where can we find you? Where can we see you? Where can we watch you, mate? Honestly, it's been great having you on Last Word on Spurs. Your positive vibes this season exudes class, and I love it.
Lester, always a pleasure being on, always a pleasure. You can find me, I'm all over your TV, invading all your adverts. So every ad break, you'll probably see me selling some random project. That's me, always there doing a madness. I'm on Chivalry on Channel 4 right now. A few other projects in the pipeline. So listen, guys, if I'm not here on the pod, I'm going to be on your screen. So look, Matt, I'm going to be following you. It's always a pleasure joining you guys. And listen, let's finish on a high. I've said top 4. I'm still saying top 4. Come on, you Spurs.
Honestly, mate, it's been a real pleasure having you. You've been superb. And listen, to my co-host, who has been going with me now, I think, since 1947. Lee, how long we been going?
Don't know. I'm just going to little sing. I'm just a poor boy, nobody loves me, Galileo. Only because like behind me, it looks like I'm in the Queen video of that tune, right? Like John Wenham. John Wenham, one of our own, he loves that. Look, my new Twitter handle is Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. You can see that at the bottom of the screen. Absolute phenomenal night. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for bearing with me, because I've had a few beers when I wasn't.
We haven't noticed, mate. We haven't noticed.
I know.
We haven't.
And also that tonight was absolutely amazing. I'm so happy to be part of what we've done today. And we go again. We go again on Sunday. And I'll be up early doors. I'll be back on the Laser Crush on Sunday. But nonetheless, I'll be singing my heart out. So it's been a pleasure to share with the Hartman, with Matty, and of course you, Rick. You're a freaking legend, mate.
Mate.
Yeah, amazing. Well done, Tottenham. And we go again Sunday.
Honestly, amazing. Listen, guys, keep safe, keep well. Go and enjoy the highlights. Go and enjoy the extended highlights. Go and enjoy the full 95 minutes again. Why not go and enjoy it? From Matty, from the Hartman, from Mr. McQueen, from myself. Guys, please keep safe, keep well. Top 4 is on. Antonio Conte's boys, we're still coming. As always, keep the love. And as you know, as the song goes and the drill goes, come on, you Spurs.